Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a very special Look, Honey, Something Good's On edition of Monster Party.
Monster Party!
Monster Party!
Monster Party! Monster Party!
Watching!
Oh, man, we do a lot of watching these days. Yeah,
we do.
This is the season for watching. Yeah, if you didn't catch up with whatever show you wanted to catch up with, then this was not the right pandemic for you.
Well, speaking of pandemic,
I am a virus that infects you with laughter and joy.
Yes, you do, sir. But who are you, sir?
I am Matt Weinhold.
I'm SHAWN Sheridan.
I am Larry Stroth.
And I'm James Gonis.
You all have kind of a serious tone. It's like it's not the same kind of energy. It feels a little relaxed, kind of that FM radio vibe.
Yeah.
I'm Larry Stroth. Or is it like a meditational audio tape, you know? Hello, I'm Larry Stroth. Sit back in your chair and breathe deeply.
Well, I'm sure we could discuss this for hours, but I'd really like to know what our topic is. What is this theme? What are we talking about?
Our topic for this show is what we're watching. What are we watching?
What we're watching?
What are we watching? You might be asking the question right now. What are they watching?
What are those Monster Party guys watching?
Sure.
Yeah.
They talk about a lot of movies, but the past week or month or whatever, what have they been watching? What are they partaking in that may be kind of even random? Because there's a lot of different things that new movies that have come out and shows.
Yes, our palette is expansive.
Yeah, and then of course we always go back in time. We always gotta delve into some obscure movie or show or whatever.
Yeah, the video vault.
Yeah, so let's get to it. Now, let us address the 800-ton gorilla in the room.
Yeah.
We've all seen Godzilla versus Kong, correct?
Godzilla versus Kong.
Correct.
All right.
If I can just, there may be some spoilers here.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, true.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Good.
So,
thank you
look,
for pointing
before we get started on this,
The spoiler is it kind of blows.
No.
Oh.
No.
Yes.
That is very.
It doesn't kind of blow. It doesn't kind of blow.
Excuse me.
I enjoyed it.
It doesn't kind of. Wow. Okay, here we go. This is it. This is why you listen to Monster Party.
Yeah.
I just want to say there's some spoilers, so you may want to turn us down for a little bit and maybe come back.
I can't believe you, Larry Stroth, are saying that. Turn down Monster Party.
Well, if you or
Crank it.
No,
Crank it, man.
No, but I don't want anyone to hear the spoilers. So maybe pause, go out and see it, so you could be part of the conversation.
There you go.
All right.
Okay.
So how do we want to do this then? Are we going to talk about the movie in broad terms?
Well, let me say this at the beginning.
Okay, go.
The way that my wife and I watched this movie, we have HBO Max, so we had it available.
Us too.
Yeah, so we didn't stand in line to see the movie. We didn't sit in the theater, watch trailers, and until the movie comes up, we saw it in the comfort of our own home.
Well, what are you saying?
I'm saying that as a movie that we just watched on a Friday night, I was entertained. The movie is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
But compared of the 3 Godzilla films in this series, I enjoyed it the most. It was the best paced of all of them, I thought. Did it make a lick of sense? No. Was the monster stuff good? Yes. In fact, it was the best monster action to me of the 3 films. So I enjoyed it.
With
I
that.
agree.
So, and the thing is, look, I realize now after this, this is the 3rd film, right, from this of this franchise, right?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
the fourth, if you include Kong's
Kong,
Skull
right,
Island,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Which I did enjoy too. Not a perfect
I
movie,
think that's
but I
my
enjoyed
favorite
it.
of all of these.
See,
I would agree.
I would say, but I enjoyed Godzilla versus Kong pretty much on the same level as Kong Skull Island. Though, granted, I admit that the script was not as coherent
Terrible.
as. But here's the thing: I looked at this as, let's say, Toho in the mid '70s decided to make a third Mecha Godzilla film, right? With the Toho budget back then, and they decide, oh, we're gonna do a kind of at your core thing, and we're gonna do all this kind of cool stuff.
Right.
That would be totally entertaining.
If there were guys in suits.
Well, yes, but I thought all of the monster stuff and all the CGI was fantastic in this film.
Look,
I mean,
you know what?
that battle in Hong Kong was fantastic. Look, what I'm saying is I've given up. I have really given up on thinking this is going to be this giant monster movie from an American studio is going to be like really well thought out script with like really good character arcs. It's not going to happen, guys. It's just not going to happen. It doesn't exist anymore. So if I went in, I realized that in about the first 20 minutes of the movie. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to sit back.
Come on, Sean. It is a long slog to get to fun. Like all that shit on the boat. First of all, you've got Kong on that shit. Once again, we do the thing that was stupid in the first Godzilla movie, which was how they're going to transport the thing to kill Godzilla. And then in this one, we've got Kong. He's strapped to an aircraft carrier.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And he's got slack in his chains.
Yeah.
And and everybody thinks he's just going to be, it's absurd. Look,
Matt,
I understand.
In the 60s Kong versus Godzilla film, did that bother you so much that it ruined the film for you?
It did not ruin the film because it's a different vibe.
But see, to me, they were going for that anything goes kind of Toho craziness of like they were doing like almost like they wanted to do a nice homage to that movie for the fans, and seeing Kong on the carrier and flying off in Godzilla, that was a great battle sequence. Like I'm telling you, I'm not defending the movie for its Shakespearean, approach to writing, but it's just I just went with it, and like this, I thought all the monster stuff there was more monster action, there was more satisfying monster action.
Can I just say this? Please?
You don't like monster action.
I love monster action. No, I think there's a fun 20 minutes, like all these movies. I liked the monster stuff. After watching it for a while, my eyes tend to glaze over a bit because my brain recognizes just pixels and I'm watching like a video game. But it's okay. It's a nicely done video game. Okay. And I enjoy the monster action, but the amount of time and all these characters. And then the one thing that we didn't get in some of the earlier movies as much is this desperate attempt to tickle our funny bone.
I'm not defending any of that.
With Stranger Things lady and her pal.
Yep.
And
I agree.
And then the security guard, the guy with the
wacky podcaster guy.
Oh my God. I mean, I
agree.
wanted to kill myself every time it went back to that. I was like, oh, fuck.
But again, that's why I said this is the third time that they've tried it. That's why I've just resigned myself to not expecting anything from that anymore.
I was mildly entertained.
Well, the human characters, the human interaction in the entire franchise, the human stuff is painful. Except in Kong Skull Island, it's a little less painful.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's like, I still thought though it moved at a better pace. Like there's some in the last Godzilla film before that, and especially the first one was just
that one's horrible.
That to me was torture. Horrible. That was And I still think in this one the pace was a little better. They had so much crazy stuff of going to the center of the earth, and like it's ridiculous, but there are more monsters down there. And one thing I was surprised that they called it Godzilla versus Kong and not Kong versus Godzilla, because it's really Kong's story. It's much more his story. But again, like I guess I really went in not expecting much, to be honest. Mm-hmm. And I got something was like, okay, that was enjoyable.
But isn't that sad though? That this is where we live. There was a time when
I know
a popcorn movie was Star Wars.
Of course. Remember we saw like
Indiana Jones.
I agree. Guys, it's gone. It's gone. I'm telling you, I hate to say it, but like, I mean, maybe some of the better or the best MCU films come close, because I think some of the, like, we watched, just to sidetrack, we're watching Falcon and Winter Soldier, which is interesting, pretty good. But we went back because we were watching this. So let's go back and watch the Captain America films again. Winter Soldier, fucking great, man. I'm telling you, the first Captain America movie, solid film. So like some of the best MCU films.
Guardians.
The first Iron Man. The first Iron Man we watched together.
Yeah. First Guardians of the Galaxy is
exactly.
I think is about as
those guys come close to taking giant, humongous, billion-dollar franchise special effects fanboy movies and kind of making them pretty damn good though, running wise. But that's the only ones I've seen to do that.
So it can be done.
It can be done, but it's not going to be the Godzilla people. It's not going to be them. I'm sorry. We're going to keep getting cool. They're learning with each movie. They're learning more and more. Like, let's put more.
By the 15th one, we'll finally have.
They're also putting more and more action with the monsters each time, and like, but
well, here's what I liked. Okay, I liked that I was able to see the monsters better this time. I like that a lot.
You see Kong in the first minute of the movie.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's totally stupid. That the idea that they make this thing that is going to contain Kong and you can pierce holes in it by throwing a tree. Really?
Yeah.
Genius, guys. Anyway, when I went into this movie, I was curious how they were going to deal with the fact that Godzilla clearly outguns Kong.
Right.
And how he was not going to be just turned into a flaming ball of fur.
Right.
And I liked where they went with it. They made it kind of like he's Thor now, and I didn't like
but also
stupid. But I thought it was okay.
And also to me, like the physical fighting, they did very imaginatively. All the stuff in Hong Kong was great. Like it wasn't just Godzilla far away blowing fire at Kong and trying to dodge. They did a really good job of like the tussling and wrestling.
Yes.
And again, and it's like, look, I mean. That's where we are, guys. It's like, I mean, I don't know. I assume, I don't know if it's doing well for the franchise.
It did great, right?
Okay, so they're going to make more. They'll have other Toho monsters in the other films. It's just like, I just don't think you're going to get much more from this franchise than good monster stuff, and that's it. I just, it's. I mean, maybe that is a little sad, but the thing is, though, this is the one of the new Godzilla films I would watch again just for the monster stuff.
Oh no, I would never watch this again.
Really?
I would
go back.
Oh fuck no.
I would go back and watch the monster stuff.
One thing I did kind of like was I liked the moment where, and this was very much, I think, an homage to like the earlier Godzilla films where the monsters had relationships with each other. Yes. And so the idea that, Godzilla had defeated Kong and saw him as a worthy opponent. And it's like almost that Japanese honor thing of like, okay, I will let you live, or,
Right. Also the like a Middle Earth thing. I like the little touch.
I like that.
The monsters down in there, I thought were cool. They some monsters look kind of like dragons. Some look like griffins. And that kind of, to me, was like, maybe like all the monsters from mythology.
Sure.
That was cool.
Again, like the little girl.
Yeah.
Oh my God. The little deaf
was so great.
Horrible.
Wonderful.
I kept waiting for her to accidentally get backhanded by Kong, and then we'd be done with her. She was the most annoying fucking part of that goddamn. No.
She brought a tear to my eye.
Yeah, I know.
She did.
Yeah, you cry at Charmin commercials.
Wait. She never talks. She uses sign language.
Oh, thank God she didn't talk.
Although I have to admit, though,
wait a minute. She's like so that. So the only person in that movie that I related to was Kong. The only one I liked.
Well, he's the best character.
And Kong, yes, and Kong.
He really is.
Kong trusted that little girl, and all he did was get fucked over by her because he ends up on a boat. They don't give him a tent. They don't give him a tent on the ship. It's like everybody's inside having cocoa, and he's out there in the rain. Then they take him
He's got a lot of fur.
They take him to Antarctica, and now he's been rained on, and now he's freezing to death. They couldn't have spent a little money to knit a fucking giant sweater.
No.
Somebody
he's got
create
strong
like a big
skin. He's
Oh.
thick. He's furry.
The human beings that were supposedly on Kong's side were such assholes. All of them. They treated him like such shit.
If you're going to leave him in Hollow Earth, which, for one thing, I'm sure this is explained, but is there supposed to be a sun down there? Because it looks like there's a sun, but how is there a sun?
It's the Hollow Earth stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he also
Okay.
he got down to the center of the Earth really quick too, man. He's like just one jump and he's down there.
Well, hey,
he's- if
when-
he's-
He's pretty big. He goes pretty fast.
If
you
he's
know?
supposed to be back home, why are there no other? At least give him another Kong. Give him a Lady Kong or something. He's down there.
There's a Lady Kong. This is not his home.
They could
Yeah,
easily
yeah.
have just
Well,
done give him a little bit of a happy.
He's got to go back to fucking trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, to me, also, like as soon as like Mecha Godzilla showed up, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go with this because it's so ridiculous.
By
But
that point,
stuff was great.
at that point, I did start to have fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yes. Yeah.
The three-way was fantastic. I love, and I loved it. It was like, oh my
Whoa.
god, they're gonna team up and fight Mecha Godzilla. Yes,
Yeah.
you know, it's like,
And that was the perfect way to.
of course, it was great. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And like, I'm not like excusing any of the rest of the movie, but like, you know, it's just, I mean, I was just in the right mood. Like I said, if I had sat in the long lines to see this movie, maybe it would have been like a little more frustrating. But just having a beer and watching it at home, like,
okay.
just go with it. you
Oh,
know?
that's great, Sean.
Well, I also like that they ended it. That the big climactic battle was in an Asian city for once. It wasn't Tokyo, but Hong Kong.
Obviously,
was a
very
really
well.
interesting-
Yeah, they obviously thought about that. Yeah.
Hey, and where's?
Colorful, bright.
I was waiting for a little teaser, at the end.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
nothing.
yeah, I think people are getting tired of that from the MCU. I think they're backing away. But yeah, but look, yeah, again, it is what it is.
But
It's
Well,
keeping
okay,
Godzilla
look,
alive, at least for the American
I
audience.
think that whole series, for the most part, is a gigantic fail.
Okay.
I would say it's a gigantic, incredibly uneven franchise.
It's mostly a fail. There is
You know what,
45
yeah.
minutes of
No,
usable footage
no.
in all of
I
and
still think-
Kong Island is. I put that aside a little bit because that one
Yeah.
I enjoyed the most out of all of these.
I'd say that is a really good movie. I mean, yeah,
And there's some
it's-
stupid shit in that, but I was, for some reason, I was able to go along with the
Yeah.
dumb shit in that
Yeah,
easier than the Godzilla
they're
ones.
just
The first
incrementally
one
a little better to me.
is inexcusable.
The first one was like, you're right. That was
Like that's a flop. There's
Yes,
nothing good
yeah.
in that movie.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Well.
And by the way, everybody has radiation poisoning.
Yes, yes.
Godzilla has killed everyone.
That's true. That's true.
The minute he
Okay. Well.
fires his breath, everybody
All of
is
Hong Kong
dead.
is like they're all dead now. Yeah,
Everybody's dead.
right. That's
Thanks,
Okay,
Godzilla. Well, I'm so glad that you
That's
beat up
great.
Mecha Godzilla. Thanks for
That's-
killing us all. What an uplifting movie,
Well-
Larry.
Well, if you're just tuning in now to the bag on
Matt has been
Godzilla
just
versus
gushing
Kong.
over how much he loves.
No, I let you.
Godzilla
I
versus
let
Kong.
you guys go on.
Oh, go now! I gotta hear it. I gotta hear it.
And it's like so.
You want to
so
spin off with the little girl, right?
what is it? With
She
you
fights
guys?
another deaf kid.
Have you guys become so old and crusty that I don't want to see a movie?
I'm old, but I'm not crusty.
Larry,
I
come
just
on! You
wanna
have
see
to
the
recognize
guys-
bad
Oh,
writing though
oh,
when you see
hey,
it.
I let you go on your tirade, okay?
I
Now
want
you
to
can let me go on my tirade.
I want to
okay?
hear it. I want to hear your
So,
time.
I understand. You sat in the comfort of your, house with your little beer, watching on your screen.
Yeah, yeah.
Right now, because COVID, we're kind of taking control of it. Some theaters have opened up.
Yeah,
They're
So
allowed-
you went.
right?
So what?
So you
I
went to the
did-
theater,
My buddy Pat and I
picked up the virus.
No, we've both had our first shots, and we went to
Ooh,
the
first shot.
Grauman's. Hello, we just went to the Grauman's Chinese Theater, the big, epic Hollywood
What was
theater.
it? How was the audience? Was it a big audience or was it?
Let me tell you something. First of all, after a year, seeing a giant screen and these big monsters
Yes,
on a big
I
screen.
can see that would be a
the
very
big
impactful.
scene. That was just amazing. It was so great. And and to see the previews, I love to see the previews. I love seeing the previews. We got so excited. And as far as like how many people they let in the theater, it was like 25% capacity.
Okay.
And they actually had little seats that were blocked off.
Right,
and,
right.
You know, you sat like groups of like 2 or 3 or 4,
Right.
and everyone was separated. And they actually had a theater attendant making an announcement saying that if you wanted to move your seat, please tell us, because they had to make sure everyone was safe. You had to wear a mask. And so Pat and I,
Godzilla mask?
yes, and my daughter Kathy, we went to see this, and we felt good. We felt safe, and it's a massive theater. And when it started, we were so excited. And first of all, it's not 20 minutes of monster action. It's a lot of monster action, and yes, it gets right to Kong. And
I thought they peppered out the monster stuff pretty well throughout.
Yes, I'm
better than the other films.
And here's the thing I wanted to say to you guys. Okay, did you guys remember 1963? I
don't remember 1963.
Well, no.
I was born in 1964.
Yeah, the Godzilla versus King Kong movie from '63 that we all know and love. Guys, there's goofy stuff in that film too.
Yeah.
It's a different thing.
No, but so here, guys, we have there's
a big nostalgia thing. I think we still give a lot of leeway to the older films because of nostalgia.
Sean,
it's different.
It is different, but still.
Look, Sean, what I want to say to you is, when you say, "Oh, what did you guys expect? Did you expect Gentleman's Agreement or Gone with the Wind?"
Gentleman's Agreement.
Well, I'm just saying, or Titanic. I'm just saying, as far as the
Kong was not allowed to join the country club.
It's a big monster movie. You're not.
We don't take gorillas.
I'm gonna ponder what's gonna happen next, and I loved all the.
Did I say that I wanted that?
I'm gonna say there's stuff in there that is ridiculous. But guys, I just sat there with my popcorn and I just let it flow over me like beautiful monster art.
That's kind of like how I felt too. Like I said, but I do recognize that it's like, I mean, this is a big studio with tons of money, with tons of writers, I'm sure, who like each put in their say on that script. Mm-hmm. So,
and that's what you get.
Yeah, because these days, like that kind of a movie, I just think it's hard to.
It's not hard though.
You're not going to get Robert Town from Chinatown, to write like a great.
But those writers were well paid, overpaid.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah, I know.
I mean, but
look at any Transformers movie or anything else that made billions of dollars, that cost billions of dollars, and they're not good movies and they're not good scripts. I think it's.
But you don't have to. That's my thing, though, is that. Well, you don't have to do that. There was a time when I had a couple friends who we'd talk about some movie and I would go, "Oh man, that was terrible," and they go, "Oh, it was a popcorn movie," and like right. Because it's a popcorn movie, I'm not supposed to get a good script. When we grew up, we had the golden age of popcorn movies that were well written and did have charismatic characters.
But the Toho
it is possible.
But the Toho films from the 60s don't always have the most well-written characters either.
Well, I'm not saying that.
It's not like, I'm just saying that like for a monster movie, it is what it is. And I think we're beyond like the popcorn movie excuse thing now. I think these days, the corporatization of everything, it's like, just give us fucking CGI insanity for 2 hours. And like, that suffices. I'm not saying it's good, but
you can't compare the Toho movies to these movies because they're a whole different thing. First of all, they're coming from an entirely different country. So there's this exotic 60s groovy Japanese element that's entrenched in it. And so that's part of it. And then even the writing, like to me, I don't think all Godzilla movies are good. And there are some Godzilla movies where I'm just waiting for Godzilla to show up.
Sure.
But like James and I, we bond over Monster Zero. I know you like that movie too. And I do
Monster Zero.
I love those characters.
Yeah. But like those are also though, they're even for the time, they're pretty much B movies for younger audiences. The movies that are made now by America, these Godzilla films, are giant tentpole franchise corporate run movies that have to appeal to everybody in the world and overseas, adults and kids alike. That's what's different about it. Those movies, Toho churned out those movies in the 60s.
primarily for
matinees and for kids.
Yeah.
That's the difference too. So it's like
But-
that's
and-
why you're gonna get a corporate group of writers,
and it feels like that's the part that pisses me off. Is that it feels like that.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like those Toho movies. I feel like it's a bunch of, as August Rugoni was saying, there's a bunch of young guys got together and they're,
it's almost like doing it like on their own and like nobody paying attention to them and they just make this movie.
Yeah.
Like, that's great.
But there's still
there's heart to it.
Yes.
And there's sometimes still elemental logic that works better in those movies. That these newer ones should be held to a higher standard. My pet peeve that drives me absolutely crazy. We're living in technology now where by sonar and satellite where these kaiju are and where they're headed.
Yes.
And where they're headed. So what do? Yes, you can fly the scientists to Hong Kong to get there before the monster does. Yeah, sure. But you know what else you do? You evacuate the fucking city. And that they did not bother to do.
No, it's nonsense.
In the first Godzilla movie, Godzilla's heading to Vegas. You got people in the casino gambling. It's like, look out the window. There's got
well, you didn't want to make people panic.
Hong Kong,
I mean,
you want to make people panic?
Even in the Toho movies,
they can die, but they can't panic.
There's the obligatory scenes in Toho where it's like, oh, Godzilla's heading to Osaka, and you see everybody running out of Osaka.
Evacuation.
Yeah, and alarms and sirens and
like
Matt, the end of the end of this movie, you see the father and the daughter in the ruins of Hong Kong, and they're sort of trying to find each other. And I'm thinking, oh, well, I'm sure the monsters are away from Hong Kong now. Otherwise, people wouldn't just be wandering around. No, Godzilla and Kong are still in Hong Kong. How could you be anywhere near them? And yet they're just wandering around.
The next Godzilla movie should just be about the cancer ward.
Yeah.
Everyone who has cancer.
Oh, I want to see that.
But like Matt, you hit it in the head, though. It's like they're just so different.
Wait a minute, but
America is never going to be able to make. Never.
No,
going to be able to make.
I agree with you there.
They've taken a Japanese property that is ingrained in Japan, in mythology, and in Japan cinema, and they're trying to make an American version of it better and bigger. It's never going to work.
Right.
It's not the way that you want it to work. Look, we have Shin Godzilla. We have still good things from Godzilla. Is still going to be around in Japan, in America. It's just what it is. It's like I still was entertained by this movie, but I really just never going to be the same.
I will say Matt goes out of his way to say this whole franchise is a failure, and I would say to you, sir, it is not a failure, because when the first, I don't know if you remember, now it's like we look back, we go, oh, there was hardly any Godzilla. When that film came out, let me remind you, everyone was anticipating Godzilla showing up, and they treated it like Jaws, the shark in Jaws. And then for the second film, you couldn't play the same game. You had to have more monster action.
But you couldn't see him.
No, you did. You
could barely see him.
By this third film, by this third film, you had to have a lot of monster action. And Sean, I will say this: you cannot go backwards.
Right.
They have to go forwards. The next film, some people have suggested, you know what? What's the point of even having any humans in the next film? Just
now we're talking.
Just constant monster action. It could be a whole long CGI. And Sean, I will say this too. Maybe Matt doesn't agree with me, but you mentioned Transformer movies. The thing that I don't like about the Transformer movies, when Michael Bay does all this camera movement, and sometimes I can't really follow the.
That's true.
But Sean, in this film, you could clearly see
when they
Godzilla
fought,
and Kong.
it wasn't so chaotic. Yeah, that's what I liked. That was satisfying.
And also this thing
I did like that part. Yes.
Matt going, well, Godzilla can just, burn, King Kong. The great thing about Kong is because he's mobile, he's got his hands and fingers and thumbs, and he can swing around, and he's more agile. And I love the thing.
He'd be dead if it weren't for the magic axe. Okay.
I thought the
when
axe.
He took out that axe. It was like a kaiju version of Excalibur. He took that thing out. That was great.
They needed the axe. If he didn't have the axe, he would have been destroyed.
But I thought that was so cool. If you want,
I did like it. I told you I liked it.
That was badass. And also what people, the moment when you have these two monsters in each other's face growling, and what Matt said about the mutual respect.
I like that part.
It's like, I hate your guts, but I respect you.
You know what it is, Matt? You could do like when in the old films in the back of the famous monsters, you get the Super 8 shorter versions of all those movies. You could cut this down to like a good 45 minutes of it.
Absolutely.
Nonstop, primo, fantastic monster action.
Again, when we had August Rigoni on, he was talking about these movies they would play. They would do these package movie screenings where it'd be like you'd see an animated thing and you'd see like a kaiju thing or whatever, and then there'd be like a Kamen Rider movie that's like 50 minutes.
Yeah.
That's how these should be.
And the thing is, look, this movie and this franchise, it's keeping Godzilla alive. It's making people talk about Godzilla. Maybe new generations.
That's good. I guess that's good. Yes.
Somebody says, hey, you know that? Hey, there was another Godzilla versus Kong movie. What? Really? Yeah, in the '60s. Why don't you maybe it'll get people, younger generations, to realize and watch the history of other films. But it's crazy. But I just think,
hey, the last 20 minutes of that movie was pretty fun.
Yeah.
And so I would say I was mildly entertained, but the amount of carbuncles on my ass that grew having to wade through the first part of that movie, which was so boring. And I don't agree with the pace thing that you're saying, Sean. I think it's slow and dull,
even more than the first two?
Unfunny. Well, I'm talking about this one. The first one. The first one is a disaster.
But you still think this is an improvement over the first two?
Yes, I do.
A little bit, even.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I would agree with you that it is my favorite of the three.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, me too. I mean,
hands down.
Now, listen, for listeners who are listening, are you guys saying, oh, poo, I don't like it because it was too slow. It's only good the last 20 minutes. Are you saying go and see it? Because
I don't think I said it that way.
Go. Well, I'm just saying. I'm saying go and see it because the monster action is fantastic. I disagree with Matt. I don't think it's slow and not funny. I did laugh at sometimes. I was
watch it on HBO Max.
I enjoyed it more than Sean.
That's what I say.
If you want to get your COVID shot, wear your mask, go to it
after the pandemic. Go see it. Okay.
Capacity.
Still too early.
And
that's just my opinion.
Screen. But and the little girl, I loved how.
Oh my God! Come on!
I do sign language.
So I thought the idea of Kong doing sign language was not a bad idea. I just wish it wasn't with the little cute deaf girl. I wish they somehow developed.
Japan. It was a psychic girl.
Right.
Okay,
that was good.
Yeah.
You think that? Wait a minute, Larry.
Oh, that's.
You don't think that's his? You don't think that? You don't think that the psychic girl
sign language
is more fun than the little girl? And that sign language.
Sign language is more plausible. Hello, do you know Coco the gorilla? Coco the gorilla learned sign language. Here, this little girl taught Kong how to do sign language, so it was more plausible to me. And just for those people out there who don't know, my daughter takes sign language at high school, and she was watching. She goes,
"Was she trying to communicate with Kong?"
That's exactly right.
Larry, what did Kathy think of the movie?
That the sign language.
Did she?
She loved it.
Did she have any qualms about that?
My 15, 16-year-old daughter saw it with me, and she loved it. She said,
and she had no problems with it.
It was a lot of.
She had no problems with it. Wait a minute. She had no problems with it, Larry. You had no problems with it.
Bring her,
Larry. You had no problems.
I'm saying.
I'm not. Now I'm talking to you.
But it's a.
No,
yes.
Did
you laugh at any joke?
Was there anything that you thought was kind of wonky though?
Yeah. Sure, Sean, but it's like I said, I just sat there and went, "Oh, that's a little goofy," but I just let it.
I mean, there's like we were watching.
You could say the same thing about At the Earth's Core.
Some guy just laughed out loud.
You could say the Day of the Triffids. You could say the same thing about the Green Slime. There's some. There's some maybe kind of silly. Yes,
they're different. They're totally different things.
I'm just saying the whole thing of Kong going into the Middle Earth. I mean, I thought that was neat.
I like that idea.
I will say this, like James said, James, I will agree with you. I felt that we think when they're telling Kong, we think home is here. I was hoping that there would be like some other apes there, some larger.
Right.
Something. You know, and so
Maybe that's the next one.
He gets there, and then he immediately gets attacked by those great-looking, horrible creatures. And there's a great sequence about ripping these things apart.
I thought visually,
so awesome.
the Inner Earth looked really cool. It was
I like that.
Really unique look. Like it. The one thing I did, there are moments where it touched on true like fantasy cinema. You know, like it was really like that was really cool. They're like there individual moments were like almost transcended for a couple like. Yeah, like look, it could have been a fantastic movie, but like as it is, it was like
one more thing about James was bringing up that if we're comparing this movie to the older Toho films, then back in the day they might not have had the same sort of technical sophistication when it comes to sonar and radar and everything else. In this day and age, when they've got all these panels of computers and gizmos. And we have no idea where and when Godzilla's showing up. It's just bad. It's just sloppy. It shows that they don't give a fuck about you. The only people who gave a fuck about you were the people who were working on those effects.
Yeah, you know
what?
And
as much as I get blinded sometimes by just a sea of pixels, I did enjoy it. I did still like it. And I still think it was really well done.
You know, when you say that, I envision it's like you're in the Matrix, Matt. You're like sitting, I can see the little lines and stuff. Man, I don't know where you're from.
I took the purple pill.
Pixels.
You know what?
Then I would enjoy it.
But Matt, you just when you said that, it just struck me. Wouldn't it be awesome if like they made a new Godzilla film set in the '60s?
You know what? There's so many movies.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yes.
Like we talked about like the Fantastic Four taking place in the sea, but a Godzilla film like a Destroy All Monsters type movie now made today, but take a place in the 50s or 60s. That would be really cool.
And I think people would like that.
Yeah, you're right though, because with everybody with a cell phone that can do everything on your cell phone, it's like it is kind of hard to believe that you're not. Yeah, to be surprised by any giant monster anyway.
Because then it also because of those flaws in the script. It takes me out of it. And again, I give credit to the people who were doing those special effects. The only time I felt any real, I'm not even saying that the actors were the problems at all. There were a lot of good actors in there. The script.
Their characters though aren't, but poor Kyle Chandler, who was like,
right, yeah, he
was on the phone a couple of times.
It was like Snyder from One Day at a Time,
but you're right. That's the thing too. It's interesting that they get a really interesting cast of really across the board, and they have these little tiny parts, and they have like maybe a moment, and then that's it. It's like,
But yet, when Kong and Godzilla are interacting. Now I'm paying attention.
I know, but I think
now it's like, hey, I feel heart now between the
it's true.
sets of pixels.
That's at least an accomplishment. You can do that.
Yes, it is. I agree.
Well, let me ask you this: so you guys have criticized in the past the design of Godzilla, not so much Kong, but the look of Godzilla. I actually don't mind.
I liked it more this time because of the way he physically was interacting.
There was a moment where he was chasing Kong and he almost got down on all fours to kind of do a lizard walk. And it was so incredibly cool. But then getting back to Mechagodzilla, I thought that was such a cool design.
Like the old-fashioned Mechagodzilla a lot, and
no, I like Mechagodzilla.
I liked that it was like the DNA from the Ghidra or something.
Yeah, I like that too.
I like that too. I love the turning when the guy's talking and he's behind him.
That was
great.
Great.
And I didn't mind. And look, Larry, I did not mind the sign language part of it, and the fact that this was a deaf girl who that's how she communicates. I like the idea of it. It's what they did with it. Mm-hmm. It's just nothing. It it's so surface, and it's just not. And that little girl has one note.
Right. Well, she's deaf. She has to sign. That's
no. She's an actress.
She has a lot of emotion. No, she has a lot of emotion on her face. Look again.
I just think that a little girl shows up, and you're like, oh.
So
well, it's true. You throw a little no, not necessarily, because Phantom Menace. Don't get me started.
You know what? I thought you were gonna say Mac and Me.
Right. Right.
Well,
Right? I mean,
look, I would still tell listeners I think it's
Well,
definitely
if you're a
worth
real
seeing. And
Godzilla
look,
fan, I think you should still see at least once to see
I would say
what they do
yes.
with it. Yeah, I mean, you know,
If you're a Godzilla fan and you're a completist, and if you've sat through the other two and you're ready to see a third one, then yes, go see this one. There's some good stuff in it.
yeah.
there's some great stuff in it. Great stuff.
All right, that's our show.
Almost.
Sometimes I think you guys are just a little too harsh. I think you've lost your sense of wonder. You get I'm too old.
Nah, we're just bored.
Yeah,
We just like a fight. That's
I
all.
don't know. I had a lot of fun. And James, I'm surprised you didn't like it as much.
I'm not surprised at all. I'm not surprised.
The logic issues just get
I can't stand it. I just can't stand it. And the humor is what really fucks with me. I can't.
See, I get that because you're the comedian. You know, it's like, oh, that's not funny. But you know,
Yeah, I'm the only one who knows how to laugh at good jokes.
Yeah, it's like James is Mr. Logic.
No,
I don't like it.
Look, you've got this spaceship that can go into Hollow Earth, right?
Yeah.
Suddenly, everybody knows how to pilot this thing. I can't figure out my remote, And it's like suddenly, when did you train on this? I mean,
and
it's like,
how long does it take to get to the center of the Earth and back?
Like a minute.
A minute.
Evidently.
Okay, look, you guys, come on, you got.
And Godzilla's design, by the way, I'm all right with it. It's not my favorite design. It's probably one of my least favorite designs. I like it better than the other the 90s Godzilla.
Yeah, of course.
I like it better than that. But he's got
more personality in this one, though.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
But he does seem like he's put on like the COVID-15, you know?
He wasn't the first two.
Are you talking about weight?
Yeah.
That's how he always looked in the first two.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a John Goodman quality. Pre-weight loss.
Kind of like a Brian Dennehy of the kaiju.
Who amongst us
Very Dennehy.
put on a few pounds over COVID? Okay, I claim guilty as charged.
Hey, when it comes to Godzilla, I am not a fat shamer.
Get off your high horse there. Cut him some slack.
I did.
Still a marvelous monster.
It'll be interesting to see what comes up next. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
All right. So what else have we seen? Somebody bring up something else.
Because Matt needs to get out of this conversation quickly.
I think we've covered it.
Yeah, that's good.
Has anybody seen Willy's Wonderland with Nicolas Cage?
What's that?
I don't even know what that is.
Well, it was scheduled to be released theatrically last year, but because of COVID, it got pushed back, mainly home video. And he doesn't say a word through the whole movie. He plays a guy whose car it breaks down in the middle of nowhere. And the only way that he can get it fixed is he gets towed to this small town. He agrees to be a janitor overnight at this abandoned Chuck E. Cheese type place.
Yeah, I've heard about this.
Willy's Wonderland. But in the tradition of Child's Play, the animatronic figures in Willy's Wonderland, they're possessed by evil serial killer cannibals. So these animatronic figures are killers. And again, Cage doesn't say a word through the whole thing, but he is really good at fighting them. There are scenes that are a lot like Ash vs. Evil Dead.
I saw the trailer of this.
This is a comedy?
Well, it's billed as a horror comedy. And it is, I mean, I don't know that it's scary, although those animatronic dolls are pretty creepy. And they are cannibalistic. I mean, they eat teenagers. That
never heard of this.
Ooh.
I saw the trailer. And you would recommend this?
With some reservations, but it is kind of fun. I actually appreciated Cage in it. I thought it was a good part for him, especially since he doesn't talk.
I always enjoy him.
Yeah. It's I'm not familiar with the video franchise Five Nights at Freddy's, but apparently it has some sort of relational tie-in to the story of that.
Okay.
So anyway, Willy's Wonderland is worth a look. Yeah.
All right. I got one. This is on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
And it's Invincible. It's an animated
I've seen the ads
show.
for it. Yeah.
And it's based on a Robert Kirkman comic book And Robert Kirkman created The Walking Dead.
Okay.
And this is his superhero book. And I really enjoyed the comic. And I watched the first episode, and Mark Hershon, our friend of the show, Mark Hershon, he said that he's been enjoying it. So I watched the first one. And the premise is there's this kid, this teenager, Mark Grayson, and his father, Nolan, is the most powerful superhero on Earth. So he's like Superman. Mm-hmm. And his mother is human. And he's supposed to get superpowers when he becomes a teenager, when he goes through puberty, but it doesn't happen. And then it happens later, not too long after his 17th birthday. So when he starts to develop these superpowers, he can fly and he's highly resistant to any sort of physical force. And his dad is showing him how to control his powers. And, this kid has always really wanted to be like his dad and be a superhero. Mm-hmm. And this guy is part of this, like a Justice League type team. Anyway, I don't want to do too many spoilers of the show, but there's something with his dad, Omni-Man, that's a little off. And let me just say that episode 1, not necessarily for the squeamish.
Ooh.
Is this done straight?
This is done straight. This is not, there are some semi-comedic moments, but for the most part, it's done straight. And the third act of this first episode is really done straight. It's good. And a lot of really great voice work in this thing. You got J.K. Simmons as Omni-Man, and then you've got Sandra Oh as Debbie Grayson, who is the character's name is Invincible, but it's Mark Grayson. And anyway, Sandra Oh plays his mom. I've only watched the very first episode. Apparently, there's a whole bunch of other people that are going to come later on in the series. So you've got Zachary Quinto is coming, and then there's Walton Goggins and Seth Rogen, and Mark Hamill is going to be showing up. So cool. You got a lot of really great voice work in this thing, but I loved it. I thought it was good, and I thought it was very close to the comic book. James, I think you'll really like this.
Cool. I will check it out.
Yeah, I've been seeing the ads on Amazon Prime, so okay.
Okay, all right. Nice. Well, one of the things that we've been watching, there were some things that came out a while ago and we didn't get around to it. And we said, we got to make sure we watch that. So we've been watching from 2017 from Hulu, The Handmaid's Tale series.
Yeah, I've not seen it, but I hear it's great, though.
Guys, let me tell you, this is based on the 1985 best-selling novel by Margaret Atwood. And this series is about not necessarily a science fiction universe. It's more like an alternative future, something that could possibly happen. Is it sci-fi? Is it horror? And people say, this could never happen. Guys, let me just tell you, this thing starts out, number one, I maybe get a little political here. There's an attack on the Capitol where, let's say, the president, vice president, and some of Congress, they get killed. There's a pandemic, and so it's like some of these things that happen in the series, you go, oh my God. And this was written back in 1985.
Right. And there was a movie.
Anyway, series is
the movie I liked a lot.
Yeah.
The movie was made in 1990 with Robert Duvall and Faye Dunaway, but this is a TV series from Hulu. It stars Elizabeth Moss, who you guys might remember from Mad Men.
Sure, yeah.
And she also did the feature film The Invisible Man, and she is terrific. But this series, it deals with a broad range of issues: gender, politics, and religion. And the funny thing is, guys, there is a reason why church and state should be separate. And again, when you're watching this, you could say, well, this could never really happen. How would you react if your country, you find out that the majority of the people, about 4/5 of the population, have been made infertile because of this pandemic? What do? How do you maintain the species? And you come up with these concepts about taking religion and making it part of your political makeup, and then people who are still able to conceive, they become vessels. It's horrific. And then it's like this society has created itself, but there are other countries that go, hey, we're having the same problems, but that's messed up. We don't want
Yeah.
to. And it's so good. My wife and I, we were watching. There were moments when we were on the edge of our seats.
Yeah.
And again, you could say maybe it's because of my religious background or something, but there's a lot of stuff that hit really close to home in here, and also how people use the Bible to kind of manipulate certain ways of thinking, and it's just messed up. But it's so well done. It is really dark and depressing. There is some hopeful stuff in it, but it's terrific. It has gone through 3 seasons. The 4th season is starting very soon. So
that's one we have to eventually watch.
I love it. I love it.
Now, I do want to say to people that look, this is not Alien Covenant that James doesn't like. I mean, there's some stuff in here that hits a nerve on a lot of areas in regards to politics and religion and sex and gender. And there's some very touchy, sickening things, but it's still, I just found it to be terrific. So it's not for kids. It's more of an adult thing. But
I love the show, but I wonder if Elizabeth Moss has something in her contract where she is guaranteed the maximum amount of close-ups.
I think
have you noticed that?
Matt, I think it's a style. Because
only on her.
She is the central.
Is the story from her point of view?
It is from her point of view. It is from her point of view.
It gets a little ridiculous, and that's a filmmaking choice, not a tonal choice of the show.
Sure.
And I love the show. I love it.
Yeah.
But that was one thing. There was a couple times where it almost became a drinking game of drink when there's a close up.
I think it's a stylistic choice. She's not the director, there's a few directors.
Probably has a little bit of sway.
She doesn't need to do that. I think it's a certain. It's like it's told from her perspective.
Okay.
So,
all right. Okay.
But again, I think it's terrific.
I've 100% recommend that show.
I hear great things, but I've resisted it for a couple of reasons. First, I don't really.
You don't like women?
Well, I don't have a problem with Elizabeth Moss, but I don't know if I want to binge watch that much Elizabeth Moss close-ups. And also, it just the subject matter. I'm sure it's really compelling and excellently done. It's just a little maybe heavy and dark, and I just don't know if I want to invest.
There are
a
lot of heavy, dark shows.
It is dark, and some people have said, "Oh, well, she doesn't look like Christy Brinkley or something." But see, you have to understand in this society, it's like if you are a female and you are able to reproduce, it doesn't matter what you look like, and that's one of the cool things about it. No,
I don't know if that's necessary. Look, Elizabeth Moss looks fine.
She does.
It's not.
I'm just saying people have
I agree.
some
I think she's attractive.
Yes.
Good. But some people have criticized. They said, "Well, she's not Christy Brinkley."
Well, you're the strangest. The strangest references, Larry. You go to Christy Brinkley.
I do want to see
of all the current beauties in the media and in showbiz. You go to her. I mean, that's just weird.
Do you not like Christy Brinkley?
Yes, I do. But that was back in the 80s.
No.
Wow.
Hello.
Why didn't they find Gloria Graham? Come on.
Yeah.
Would it have been better if I said something like Brooke Shields?
Kind
Not really. No.
Yeah.
Okay. You really are lost in the past.
But James.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to put together a picture here because you recently said that now you don't like horror movies that are a little too dark. You're not into them, and you're not into any slasher movies anymore, and you don't. So now you don't like anything that's serious.
Other than Benji movies, what do you watch?
Yeah, so it's like, Jason of Star Command, and what else? What else are you into?
I mean,
no, it's just
dark and hard. It's like.
No, I can deal with dark themes. It's just that something like I was sort of aware of what the subject matter was of Handmaid's Tale, and I just thought it just seems like it might be a little bit too much of an ethical morality tale if you're binge watching a show. I don't know if I could really commit that kind of time to being in that sort of a mindset of that universe.
Larry, wouldn't you admit, I'm sure you'll agree with this, that when you would finish an episode, you immediately want to start another one, right?
Oh my God. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
My wife and I, we were watching this together, and we're like, oh my God. And she looks at me, can we do another episode? So, yes.
Yeah.
We got to keep going. We did this whole binge watching thing. And look, it's not everyone's cup of tea, James. I don't know if necessarily you and your wife sitting there, hey honey, let's have a little Coke while we're watching. Maybe that's not your wife's cup of tea.
Let's
perhaps
take off our pants and watch a
some
Handmaid's
Christy
Tale.
Brinkley videos.
But and I understand. But it is really good, James.
I'm sure. I do not doubt that it's great. I had to stop watching Breaking Bad because it just got a little too.
Oh my God! What?
If you care about these characters, you bring yourself to care about them, and they're in these situations, and you are. And don't forget, we're not talking about the next week's episode. We're talking about watching half of the season in a night sitting. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it can just be a bit much. My wife was really into Dexter, and she binge watched season after season. I'm just like, every episode is a kill. And this is just too much fucking death.
Maybe she'd like The Handmaid's Tale then.
Wow. See, I kind of started feeling that way about Walking Dead, but not because of that, because it just started being so
bad.
Shitty.
Yeah, it was terrible.
It was like, it was a downer, and it was like, brutal, but it was just, it was kind of like both. It was like, but the writing was repetitive too, and it was like,
melodramatic.
But Sean,
melodramatic.
But the thing that did it for me with Walking Dead, it wasn't so much the melodrama. The thing that got me was, it started to be less about the zombies,
of course,
and about these people who were like killing each other, and it's like, well, why, that I wasn't just.
I just stopped caring.
And there were some people.
Soap opera.
When you get a great villain, everyone said like Negan is such a great villain. He should have died. He should have had his comeuppance a while. But the dude is still alive.
I didn't get through all the Negan stuff because he was just way too much. He was like in a soapbox every episode. Like he would have the longest speeches. I'm like, just shut up already.
I liked him at first, but then it became too much.
Nothing against the actor,
but it's like
the character.
That character had its time. He had his moment, and then it's like. Look, I milked
him way too long.
If you guys remember, I was the one telling you guys, "Oh, guys,
Negan's milk."
You guys were just, poo. I don't like this anymore. And I was the one, saying,
"Hey,
stick with it, stick." And I did, guys. I did. And there were real tragic, emotional moments in it that made me, "Oh my God, this is so sad." But it was great. But then when it got to the point where zombies were gone. Or they just weren't there, and then this Negan character is like he's been around too long.
Much,
and it's like it's like you're teasing me, and then the main character Rick, who I know you guys didn't like, but I liked him. He's gone, and it's like, what is this? So
is that show still on?
Yes, yes,
really,
yes.
Is it? I mean, is it
Fear of the Walking Dead is still on?
Yeah. No, it's not.
Yeah, it is, Sean. It is.
Can it be making money though? Like, don't they cost a lot to make? And like,
well,
I guess not.
I think perhaps they have. Look, maybe when we get Greg Nicotero on, we can talk to him about it. But I'm sure they have a formula.
Wow,
they have a formula. They have it down to a science. They with the makeup and whatnot. So
and they're shot down in Mexico. So maybe they're saying
it was Atlanta.
Yeah, that was like
Georgia.
Georgia.
I think Fear is shot in Mexico.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Okay.
All right. Anybody got another one?
All right. Well, I have like a two-parter.
Ooh.
Of course.
Okay. Have any of you guys seen the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League?
No, Sean. No. I've been dying to see that.
You know what, guys?
What?
It's not bad. I will tell you, this movie, as you
How are the jokes?
There's not too many jokes, but this is the thing. This is the cut that Snyder wanted to do.
Yes.
The one that was released in theaters was like
Josh Whedon.
It was only they used only some of his footage, and then there was new footage by Josh Whedon that was shot.
Yes.
It was like a completely bastardized version of what Snyder wanted, right?
But let us remind listeners why that was. Snyder had that plan, and he had a big plan, and his daughter had died.
His daughter committed suicide.
And it's like, oh my God, that could devastate anyone.
Right.
And he can't work on this. And this was traumatic. So if you're a studio and you have something like this happen, obviously it's like you put a lot of money into it, and you look at Warner Brothers and go, well, what do we do? Well,
and it's pretty unprecedented because it was like, the studio put up, it was like another 70 million.
Yeah.
It was this huge running campaign, all these fans, and they did it and they made it. Yeah. And the thing is, it's 4 hours, but here's the thing. It's done. They do it in chapters So it's like watching a Netflix series.
Okay.
Really? Oh,
And
I
they
didn't
have
know
these little
that.
cards that come up like next chapter, and they give a chapter a name. So it plays like about 5 or 6 chapters. And that's
All
kind
right.
of how my wife and I watched it. We watched it maybe in 3 sittings,
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to, you can watch it all in one. But, and you know what? Look, first of all, what's good about it is that it's not trying to be an MCU film.
Right.
It's
Right.
not that. It's not that. That's
Yeah.
what they were trying. That's what the studio tried to do with the theatrical
Yes.
cut.
Yes.
Every character gets fleshed out. There's backstories for everybody, but
Mhm.
not in a bad way. Like it takes its time because of these chapter things. It just, for me at least, it worked. Cyborg is like almost like a main character. Steppenwolf looks completely different. Darkseid is Steppenwolf's boss, who wasn't even in the first one.
He wasn't even in the first film.
No, so there's it's not, I'm not saying it's a masterpiece, but if you're buying into the Snyder kind of style, I would say watch it. It's really interesting.
I'll watch it.
It's like I said, you watch like a limited Netflix series, and it's good. There's some good stuff in it. It's kind of fascinating. Like really, like I said, kind of an unprecedented thing that they did, with this. On the flip side of that,
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
Wonder Woman 1984.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. What happened?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Christ. We're talking Joel Schumacher, Batman and Robin level.
Oh, no.
Badness from the first scene to the last. It just does not work.
Only in this one, they took out the nipples.
Oh, God. Yeah, I don't know what they did. Like, same director.
Patty Jenkins.
It's a failure in every level. The bad guy is played by, there's a couple of bad guys. Pedro Pascal, who's great as the Mandalorian, is horrid in this movie.
Oh, no.
His character is terrible. He's terrible. The main gist of the plot is like an artifact that makes wishes come true.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. And we got Kristen Wiig.
Yes.
I personally like Kristen Wiig. I think she's funny. I think Kristen Wiig. Wiig. I like her. I think she's hot. I think she's cool. She is her character. If we're doing spoilers, she plays Larry. Who is it? It's
Cheetah. It's Cheetah, isn't it?
Cheetah. She becomes Cheetah.
Oh no.
It's kind of like they style it almost like kind of do the same thing as Michelle Pfeiffer, how she becomes Catwoman in the Batman movie.
Catwoman, yes.
It is so terrible. Her look is laughable.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's a gargantuan disaster. Gal Gadot, who, I always suspected, I think she is an okay actress. I think she is a serviceable actress. And when she's edited and directed well, she's fine. Not in this movie. She's weak. She's terrible. And all these kind of movies, you think, okay, at least the action sequences are going to be good. They're not. Everything about it is so, like, what went wrong? The first Wonder Woman, while not a masterpiece, was enjoyable and it has some genuinely great moments.
Yes, I agree.
This is the polar opposite. Everything went wrong. They bring back Chris Pine in a terrible way.
Yeah.
It's Wonder Woman 1984. So there's terrible, unnecessary 80s retro jokes.
Oh, no.
It is just, you kind of have to see it to believe it, though. We were just watching Slackjaw, like, what happened? Like, what went wrong? Like, they finally made a decent, DC movie with the first Wonder Woman. Like, they blew it. I'm telling you, it's kind of hard to believe.
Can I just chime in, Sean, really quickly?
You loved it.
No. I
Come on, Larry. There was nothing good about that movie.
I'm going to chime in here. There's a sequence where you see the young Diana competing in a tournament
in the very beginning of the movie.
And
that was okay.
I really liked it, and my expectations were high because I love the first one.
Yeah,
I am going to agree with Sean. There were moments when there's a sequence. There's something I feel very strongly about. Yes, Sean, that whole wishes come true I thought was weak. Chris Pine, who I love, how he came back, I thought that was weak.
Terrible.
The sequences in the malls and stuff, I thought it could have been so much better. But the biggest thing for me is, you're right, Sean, it's called Wonder Woman 1984. The music in 1984 was phenomenal, not just because I'm a product of the 80s, but there were so many memorable, great tunes. If you watch the film, there's not a single 80s tune in it.
That's weird.
There's no reason to make it. I don't know what they were thinking.
But you see, Sean, and I understand if you're doing the movie, part of me goes, well, the licensing rights for this film, a song would be very expensive. guys, it's Wonder Woman 1984. This is a big budget movie. Pay the few bucks for whatever song from
but the choice of music is the least of that film's problems.
No, well,
I mean,
you say that, but I'm saying there's certain songs. When you watch a commercial and they have a song from the 80s or the 90s, and it immediately hit you. You think back to that time. Yeah. And I think it was a huge missed opportunity.
The whole movie was. All the actors are terrible. And the characters are terrible. The direction's terrible. The writing's terrible.
I guess, part of me feels like maybe Sean gets a little too harsh, but, I can't disagree with him. I was really disappointed.
It was shocking because, like I said, the first one was kind of a surprise hit.
I loved it. I loved the first one.
Like, what? I don't know.
I agree. I could not get through it. It had absolutely no momentum. There was no reason to continue following the story. It didn't
we saw that first, and then I was thinking, why do I really want to see the 4-hour Justice League movie? But I'm glad I did, because it was like it washed away the bad taste of that Wonder Woman film, because it's like, yeah, the whole DC franchise is so up and down, and so they just don't know what to do.
I do think what's cool, Sean, is there's this beautiful gold outfit that Wonder Woman wears, and I thought that was really neat, really cool. But you're right, Sean. It's
we were like laughing out loud.
There are these little elements that are kind of neat, but then you're right. It's just it's not a strong.
Oh my God, the way she learns to fly. Yeah. There's an invisible airplane. It's all so terrible. You just you got to see it. You do a hate watch,
I might. Yeah,
you got it.
These days.
You're not going to believe it.
I mean, part of me wants to still support. I want to support the DC universe.
Well,
not bad things.
Yeah, not bad things. Yeah, they got to get there. I don't know if it did well enough because coming off the momentum of the first movie, but man, they got to get their shit together. Because
hey, speaking of Kristen Wiig, did you guys see that movie Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar?
No, I've seen that title before. No,
we watched that, and it's like it's a weird kind of comedic, almost like a Bond movie.
Really?
Which I was not expecting. It's very disjointed. The overall idea of it, I liked. It really is about Barb and Star going to Vista Del Mar and having this vacation, and then they get sucked into like a James Bond villain's plot, a revenge team. And so Kristen Wiig plays Star, but then she also plays like the Bond villain. His name is Sharon Gordon Fisherman. So there's so funny, and honestly, John Matta's lovely wife Rose Abdu has one of the funniest lines in the whole movie.
Oh, really?
Nice. So this is one that's like, if you want some comedy watching that's not necessarily heavy lifting,
right?
There's some fun stuff in this, but overall, not so sure.
Okay.
Did anybody watch the Stand? The miniseries.
I did, yes.
No, how many parts? Like how long? How many parts was it? Was it like a miniseries?
It was like 6 episodes, something like that.
Okay.
I would say I mostly enjoyed it, but when I wasn't enjoying it, that was a bit problematic. Because
how much did it differ from the earlier version?
I mean, what do you think, James? I mean, I think it hits most of the beats. But I agreed with you when you were talking about it the first time we talked about it, is that initially the first episodes, everything's out of order.
Yeah, the first couple of episodes, they're not done. They're
in flashbacks. Style,
they're not linear, and it's there's no reason to do that. That story is strong enough, and it's actually a lot stronger if it's more linear. So I have no idea why
I agree.
that.
I agree. Huh. And Whoopi. Why not just hire an African American old lady? I'm sure there are so many actresses out there that would love that job.
Mother Abigail is supposed to be over 100 years old, and Whoopi Goldberg, no matter what they do to her, she just doesn't look like she's over 100 years old. Ruby D in the first one was perfect.
Yeah.
And Alexander Skarsgård, I liked as Randall Flagg.
Me too.
There was talk of Matthew McConaughey playing him a year ago, but then that didn't work out.
Oh, really?
That could have been good.
He sort of played him in The Dark Tower, which was a bomb and nobody saw.
Yeah.
But Skarsgård was good, but then they gave him this pompadour halfway through. It's like, why? That's the most ridiculous, Bob's Big Boy thing I've ever seen. Just completely undermines his
I thought the guy who played Harold Lauder, he grew on me, because I know in the book he's an overweight guy.
He starts out that way, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he loses the weight, he gets buff, and he gets more popular and confident.
And this one, he's just continually a skinny, geeky kid who improves his social skills as the story progresses. And I really did enjoy that actor. I thought that actor, I think his name is Owen Teague.
Yeah, he was one of the kids in It, actually.
Right, really?
Okay. But the woman who played Nadine, who I guess is Johnny Depp's ex,
Amber Heard.
Completely wrong, because Nadine was supposed to be dark-haired, and then after she's with Flag, she sleeps with Flag, and her hair turns all shocking white. Well, this woman's a blonde, and why the hell they cast a blonde in that part? It's just completely wrong.
And she's really terrible once she goes to the dark side.
Oh, it's hard. It just doesn't work. But I like the fact that now Flag's empire is the modern day Vegas, so you get to see all that neon. I like Greg Kinnear.
Me too.
Playing Glenn Bateman. I do like some of the casting. The very last episode departs from the book, and King wrote that episode, but it's such a departure. It was just like, it's completely anticlimactic. I didn't understand why it went that way.
Yeah.
It's kind of frustrating. But, the big thing about it that surprised me is that it made me nostalgic for the older miniseries.
I should watch that again.
It made me want to watch it again. So for whatever that's worth.
I will say, one of the things that I watched lately, I remember seeing it when it came out, but it's one of those things where when I saw the film, I kind of had funky feelings about it. But then when I saw it recently, I had my glass of wine and just kind of let it flow over me.
It's a lot of flowing in this episode.
Yeah. Maybe I'm getting older or something, or like mellowing out or something.
No.
And giving things time, to kind of flow over you.
Okay.
Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, yeah.
And the funny thing,
I thought you liked that one, Larry, though. I thought it was James that didn't like it. You liked it.
James doesn't like it, but I think it's great.
Me too.
James, did you give it a second try? Because it's so funny. It is so beautiful. If you just sit with and let it go.
I think that movie is going to age even better, just like the first one. I think it's going to age really well as time goes on too.
Sean, I was watching it this time around. It's like, God, this is really good, and I ended up liking it more the second time.
Yeah.
This is the follow-up or the sequel to Blade Runner, which came out in '82, and it's done in the same kind of style, the same look. God, the attention to detail to make it seem like that same world.
Well, yeah, you're really immersed in the world.
It's
just like the first one.
Beautiful. And so Ryan Gosling, who you guys may remember from the classic La La Land, he does a great job in this film as he's a replicant who's got to try and solve this mystery that involves Deckard from way back when. What happened with that guy? What is this? He got together with this replicant. And it's so cool. And also there's this Sylvia Hooks who plays this really badass, bitchy, tough.
Isn't her name Love?
Yeah.
L-U-V. Yeah.
And the funny thing is there are moments when she gets tough and beats the crap out of Ryan Gosling. I'm watching him go, oh, you can beat me up anytime.
Now, Larry. Now we can go to the movies together.
I jest, but she's amazing. And I just thought it was terrific. And when you get to the ending, what is revealed, it's actually really satisfying and poignant. And
I thought it was great.
And so I know there are people out there that go, well, it's like over 2.5 hours. I mean, it's a long.
I think I may be mistaken, but I believe that movie wasn't necessarily a gigantic hit either.
No, Sean.
And I think like the first one, and I think this one maybe as time goes on, the more movies like Godzilla versus Kong are made, you can look back at Blade Runner 2049 and say, "Oh, this is pretty good." But I think I really like it a lot.
It felt like. Go ahead, James.
No, since you guys are such big fans of that movie, I'm sure you have all the action figures, all of you, right? Because you went out and bought them because you were so excited and inspired by this wonderful.
I have the car.
James.
I have the spinner.
James, I
have a spinner.
I do have the action figures. I have.
Okay.
I have.
Okay, then.
What's his face and the older Harrison Ford.
Okay.
Yeah, they're great figures.
Okay.
But
Okay,
do you have a point here? Are you saying, oh, gee, because it wasn't big successful, I didn't get the little reaction figure of the Blade Runner characters? Is that what you're saying?
I think
No,
that
I
is
have the nicer NECA figure. I don't know if they're NECA. They're NECA style figures.
NECA,
They're
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
James, there are movies
none
out
of it,
there
none
where
of
they
it worked.
didn't make
It
action
just
figures.
did not work for me. I didn't go in wanting to hate it, but it just did not work for me.
I have one question.
Was
Did
it
you
there
see
weren't
La La
enough
Land
songs
before
or what?
Yeah. Because I thought Ryan Gosling was great, but if you feel
Me too.
like you can't get past him, well, why isn't he doing a tap dance or something? You
Yeah.
know.
I would
Yeah,
think
was
that,
it-
I would think that I would think that a movie with a flying car. Come on, James. A flying car. You love
We
movies
know how
with
much-
flying cars.
Chitty 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 bang bang. Chitty
Yes.
chitty bang bang.
Yeah,
It's
honestly,
It's a super futuristic chitty chitty bang bang.
And there's a great sequence. Do you remember in the Vegas environment where they go into that club and there's this fight sequence and you've got like the video image or the 3D images are going in and out. And it's like technical stuff. And there's like music, there's songs in there and it's great. Do you remember that?
my
You don't remember it.
my mantra with that whole movie is yes, but so what? Yes, but so what? I love the original, and maybe my expectations were way too high for this, but I was just like, what?
James, have you seen Arrival?
No.
You should see that movie.
That's a great movie.
Same director and
Great.
He pretty much got Blade Runner off of Arrival.
Adult
yeah.
science fiction. You didn't like that?
That's Amy Adams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. It
Wait a minute.
What's
Wait a
his
minute.
face?
Wait a minute.
Think-
You didn't like that?
No.
So
It did
you don't
not-
you don't like science fiction, really?
You don't like joy.
Oh.
Hey, so wait a minute. If an alien comes down, you actually think he'd say Elliot and he'd say hello? And I mean,
No,
look, how do you
I don't think
how
that.
do you communicate with it?
I love how they
How they did
it.
they portrayed those aliens,
It
how you
was
communicate
so
with them.
I
That
thought it
was
was-
so cool.
I agree.
Really
It
cool.
was it was
Wow.
intelligent. It was thought provoking.
It was a cool story. The way that the ending, like, it was very interesting.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
they did with that.
And
Yeah.
so with that kind of review, James, so you could apply that to anything with like, so they blow up the Death Star. So what?
Uh,
They're just going to build another one.
so James, are you looking forward then to the new Dune? Because it's the same director as Arrival and Blade Runner.
No, I guess not.
No, I'm not.
Really?
Honestly, I'm not.
Wait,
Yeah.
have you seen the preview? It looks
It's pretty
great.
cool. I mean, I like with him at the helm. I have some hope that's going to be pretty good. I mean, I really like the Lynch version, but I'm
I
really
do
open
too.
to a new version.
Although in this
All right.
version, I hear they remove all the sand. But aside from that, it's
Right.
absolutely faithful to the book.
I think there is sand in it. I think there's sand. I think I saw a preview and there was lots of sand. So I don't know if you're right on that one.
Here's two movies I want to bring up because you recently brought them up on our Invisibility episode, and I have since bought the Blu-ray, and that is for the double feature from Arrow Video of The Invisible Man Appears and The Invisible Man versus the Human Fly.
Oh, I want that. Yeah.
These are great movies.
Yeah, I need to get
James,
that.
you've seen those, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because The Invisible Man Appears is good. It's vintage 49. It's pretty much a crime thriller,
Right.
with a crook who steals an invisibility formula to steal these diamonds, but it's just got that vibe to it. It's early effects by E.G. Tsuburaya, and it's cool. It's a bit melodramatic.
creepy.
It's melodramatic too, though. You have like a woman who like every guy is courting her and wants her, and there's like love triangles, but it's still good. But The Invisible Man versus the Human Fly is crazy. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't even know how to describe this movie. It's played completely straight, but this is like a 1957 different director, and it's like basically like there's this guy, there's like a killer. He's killing people, and he's doing it by shrinking down really small, and then like so he can sneak into place. Then he kind of gets big
Yeah.
enough to kill
Genius.
somebody, and then he shrinks down again. You can hear it buzzing, but it's like he somehow invented this way to get small. And then there's a guy who's a police guy who's after him, and he finds this other guy who can turn invisible. So they try to use the invisibility for it to catch the human fly. But
You know how the police work,
Yeah.
right?
But they never explain how the human fly, like he floats, he does fly. He's just a guy in a suit. like a regular outfit, and he just kind of floats around. And it's got this like kind of sleazy quality where there's like nightclub where there's like
there's
strippers.
Nightclub.
And there's a scene where like the little human fly is like rolling down like the abdomen of this woman who's laying in the couch. It's crazy.
I gotta get this set.
It's crazy, and it's got a good Kim Newman, great story.
I love Kim Newman.
It's a little extra about him talking about invisibility in films. Great Blu-ray though. I mean, it's just to finally see those two movies.
And these are like the first science fiction films ever produced in Japan.
They're literally right. It's like
at least the first one is pre-Godzilla.
Right, early sci-fi from Japan, and they're just really interesting. And definitely should get that one. Yeah,
I'm there. Hey, sure. We were just talking about Ridley Scott. Have you guys been watching Raised by Wolves?
No, I've heard.
No.
It's like an androids raising people. It's an
androids thing. It's on HBO Max. The first 2 episodes were directed by Ridley Scott.
Okay.
And
what is the basic premise?
So the premise is that there's this war on Earth that's been raging for a while, and it's between this theocracy, this theocratic government, and these rebels. And the Earth is gotten to a point where you can really no longer live on it. So the theocracy have this big ark that all the important people are now on the ark, and they're going to go to this planet, and that's going to be the new Earth. The planet's called Kepler 22b. And so, but it's going to take a while for them to get there, and they're in suspended animation. Right. Well, then there are these killer androids, and they're called necromancers, and they fly around and they make this screeching sound. And when you're in the proximity of the wave of the sound, it'll just make you explode. And it's cool. And the way that
why are there killer androids running?
Well, it's part of the war. It's one of the devices that's used in this war.
Okay.
And when you see these necromancers flying around, they're female, like a literal angel of death, flying around. It's cool. And so anyway, one of these rebel guys gets one of these necromancers, reprograms it, and then pairs it up with a male android. They pack a bunch of human embryos on a spaceship, fly them to Kepler 22b, where they're going to start their own colony of atheists, because, that's the rebellion against the theocracy. So the androids, because they're androids, they're able to get to this planet first and establish their colony. But then there are all kinds of problems with the colony and the kids surviving. And so the bulk of the show is about these two factions confronting each other, and then problems within these two groups. And in addition to all this, you've got these two rebels who have killed 2 of the theocracy people and assumed their identity. So they're fighting them from the inside. I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but there are a lot of really cool twists and turns, lots of mystery. And, they try to tackle the deep questions, faith and lack of faith and animal rights. And of course, can a machine be alive? And by the way, all the actors who play androids on this show are fucking amazing. So there are 2 main androids, Mother and Father, and Mother is the necromancer. Mother, played by Amanda Collin, may be one of the best screen androids of all time.
Cool.
Yeah, she's terrific. I haven't watched the entire series yet, but from what I've watched so far, it's captivating. It's fascinating. It's not, I could see someone being put off by it because it doesn't move at a mile a minute.
Right.
But there's lots of interesting stuff. And I'm curious to see. I haven't seen the final episode, so I don't really know where this is going. I know that they're going to do a second season. And so I guess it did well enough to get a second season. So there's that.
Right.
But I think that you should check it out.
Another series to watch. Okay.
Yeah. Yet another one. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, I do want to ask this. Look, for this whole episode, I've been listening to what James is saying. James, you've been pissing on everything. Is there anything that you could recommend? Is there anything that you could say,
movie
I saw
TV
this and by golly, because just about everything you go, I don't like this, I don't like that. Oh, I couldn't
other
get through
than
it.
McCabe and Mrs. Miller.
Well, there was a movie that came out last year out of Canada called The Kid Detective. with Adam Brody. It's kind of a mystery drama, but he plays. Back in the day, he used to be like an Encyclopedia Brown. He was like a very successful kid detective at his school. And now he's grown up and he's a washed up adult. He's like alcoholic. He's no reason to live. He's complete burnout. But there's a cold case, and it's the case in his town that pretty much, ruined him, because he could never solve it, and it had to do with a local girl who was kidnapped. And through the course of this movie, he actually has a second chance at solving the case. And what makes it a good movie for me is that you've got this kind of real underdog sort of slob character who, was kind of the star when he was a kid, and now he's nothing, but he gets sort of the second shot. And it's not like a big movie by any stretch. It's kind of a little character study, but it's not a movie that I ever heard of. I just caught it by accident, but I would recommend it. It
doesn't sound too genre.
It's it's not necessarily.
Why do you hate our show?
Wait, is it spy related? Is it?
Well, it's detective related.
Okay. All right.
Any you got any Lifetime movies you want to share with us? Do you think are special?
Don't forget
Harry or
the new show Detective Party. Hey.
Look, I can see we're watching James right now, and he's looking at his list, like desperately trying to find something that fits our show, because now he hates horror and science fiction.
No, it's just I want you to pick something that you liked.
Don't forget that from the beginning I was always sort of the curmudgeon, right? I was like, Mikey doesn't like anything, right? So you just asked me what I can recommend, and that right now.
The kid, right? Encyclopedia Brown as a washed up drunk. Okay.
And it's called The Kid Detective, and I do recommend it. And that's not a movie that I don't think any of you is going to watch, but maybe if a listener decide to catch it. And for this, you're really going to make fun of me for this, okay?
Yes,
but
probably.
This is a movie that bombed when it came out, and I just happened to put it on, and it wasn't that bad. And it wasn't
that bad. All right.
It wasn't that bad. Again, Nicolas Cage, The Sorcerer's Apprentice. And this movie was made like 15 years ago, back when Cage
that was like the live action version of
Yes.
It was a bomb.
Yes. It was a big bomb. But
you liked it.
I'm not saying it's a good movie, but I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected to.
Okay. I haven't seen it, so I can't weigh in. And but
have you seen any horror films in the last 10 years?
No, you can't do it. No, you know what, Sean? Bad things happen in those movies. Sometimes he can really be a downer.
Do you know why I remember this film, James? I purposely did not want to see it because I love the classic Sorcerer's Apprentice from Fantasia with Little Mickey Mouse. But the new head of marketing at Disney, she was all kind of, hey, I'm the best in the business. She came up with the tagline, the best job you'll ever have, the Sorcerer's Apprentice. And then right after that, then you had the whole John Carter fiasco.
Right. There was a period where
she got fired. Right. Yeah. I mean, it was like, hey, I'm really cool and hip. But I remember that ad campaign from the Sorcerer's Apprentice, and it turned me off.
It turned everybody off. There was no way I was going to go see it. And the whole thing with the brooms and the music, that's thrown in as an obligatory scene. But what does sort of work is that the kid who plays the apprentice and the chemistry he has with Nick Cage is actually not too bad. And
wait, so Nick Cage isn't the apprentice?
No, Nick Cage is the sorcerer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't really change it for me, but.
And it's got some pretty clever and funny dialogue. The effects are okay. And I was actually, you know what? This isn't a bad sort of brain dead movie. This isn't as bad as I expected it to be.
So it's a strong meh from you.
A very strong meh. Which for me means something.
Okay.
Wow.
See, I don't know if I should see it now. I'm like,
don't.
I know because I want
to. See The Kid Detective.
Okay.
Well, yes, I would recommend Kid Detective over.
So let's say it's late at night. It's like 2:00. I can't go to sleep, and all of a sudden it's on. You're saying, "Hey, stick with it."
And you're strapped to your chair. You can't get out.
Right.
Okay.
You pull your face out of the pile of vomit and you stare at the screen. Nick Cage. And then you somehow get sucked in.
James, you mentioned like that sounds like kind of like this kind of feel good kind of Disney movie. You know, I want to mention a movie that my wife and I thought, hey, let's watch this. This is like an old vintage, weird movie from the times. Maybe it's gonna be because it's fun as like a little lark, and it was just terrible. You guys probably have heard of it. Probably Larry, you have. From 1981, from Disney, Condor Man.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
With a pre-Phantom of the Opera Michael Crawford in the lead role as a zany comic book artist, right?
This was supposed to make him.
This was supposed to be. This was 1981. You know that weird period for Disney where like Tron bombed, Black Hole bombed. What are they doing with the studio? They don't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
And so they made Condor Man. It was kind of supposed to be like this, kind of like a spy spoof and a live action comic book superhero movie. It'll be fun. Great cast. You got Oliver Reed as the bad guy, Barbara Carrera as the female lead, James Hampton, Dana Elcar. Fun, you know, no, it's terrible. It's just like everything falls flat. It's forced. It's like pacing is terrible and sluggish. He's like a comic book artist who somehow he gets involved with like he has a friend who's like works in the CIA, and he ends up saving Barbara Carrera, who's trying to defect from, he's a spy who's trying to defect from Russia. So Oliver Reed is after her, and Michael Crawford has to save her. And so he's created this comic book character called Condor Man. He's a guy with like these robotic bird wings to fly. So he decides to really make the suit for real life to fight crime, and it's terrible.
It should end the first time he tries to fly.
Yeah. And of course, this is back when like movies are a little more leisurely paced, and you kind of accept its effects aren't great, but still, it just sits there, and I don't think it did well. I think it was pretty much
the first person that I've ever heard of who's seen it.
Yeah, I know it was kind of right. Larry, do you know anything about this movie? I mean,
no. The one thing I remember is I think this is pre-Eisner Katzenberg. And this was the thing that was supposed to catapult
Michael Crawford. Yeah, he's pretty bad in it. He's like.
And the funny thing, Sean, is I always wanted to see it, but I think the reviews were so bad.
On Roku, and we thought, let's just check it out. You know, like it can't be that bad. We sat through it. It was.
And I think I was working at the movie theater at that time. I could have seen it for free, but I did it. But you just threw out a movie. I just want to. Black Hole, I don't think it necessarily bombed.
Yeah, it didn't do well.
But it's funny. I as much as we've criticized that film,
we've talked about this before.
I
think we all agree we all have a kind of love-hate relationship with that.
That's true. I do.
I
end up liking it more as every year goes by.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? It's
and if it's on, Sean, I will watch it.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah, it's just weird. But again, it's that weird.
I started to like those stupid robots. Yeah,
well, you told us about that. I know. Yeah. I mean, it's just.
When old Bob comes in and goes, well, Vincent, you start to laugh now. You go, well, I used to hate you, but now I love you.
You're right.
Old Bob.
I'm somehow kind of charmed by it now. I don't know what.
Me too, and those figures, those new figures are fantastic.
Oh, they are. Yes, they are.
They really are.
Yeah.
But I know it's that kind of movie that's just, I bet you as time goes on. That's why I don't understand is with all of the remakes and the reimagining, why don't they remake that, but put it in the hands of somebody who really loves the material, and really does.
And give me a different ending. Give me a different ending, and you could clean that film up.
Even as a Netflix limited series, you could do it. I mean, that's a property that I think Disney really should look at again. Look, they did it with Tron. They did. Because Tron was success. I mean, it became such a successful cult thing.
Yeah.
And they should do it Black Hole. They should do something.
Give it to John Favreau.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Well,
but James,
he's a little busy, but
James, any love for the Black Hole? Any love? Can you give any love to the Black Hole?
I have not seen it since I was 14 when it first came out, but I'm sure I would be much more forgiving now than I was when I was 14.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
It's worth revisiting.
Hey, have you guys seen? Carrie and I have been watching this, and we're about, halfway through. But there is this show on another HBO Max show.
For God's sake.
It's called Made for Love. Kristen Milioti, Billy Magnuson, and Ray Romano. Milioti is this woman who escapes from this weird futuristic building called the Hub, where she's been living for the past 10 years with her husband, who is this megalomaniacal tech genius, and his name is Byron Gogol. So she escapes because he wants to put this chip in her head, and then he'll have this chip in his head. So he's so in love with her that they're going to then merge their minds. You know, she kind of got talked into this marriage anyway, and he's a weirdo, and she's been wanting to get out of this. So anyway, she's been in this relationship with this guy and living in this building, and the Hub where he lives is like, imagine just this building that's entirely virtual reality inside. So he never leaves this place. And he can generate whatever background, you know, they can be at the beach or by the pool or whatever, but none of it's real. And she's just got this weird life where she's just almost just like this captive. And, you know, a bunch of things happen. She escapes and she tracks down her dad, who she has this estranged relationship with. So she's trying to just get away from her husband. But what she doesn't know initially is that he already implanted the chip in her head. So he can see everything that she does and follow her wherever she goes and fuck with her to the point where, you know, she'll be walking down the street and all of a sudden somebody that's, you know, standing outside their house goes, "Hey man, this guy on the phone says he wants to talk to you." Like, and so he's just making her like hell. And so his goal is to link with her and then they're going to be one. But the problem with that is everyone is telling him it's really dangerous. And if you do it, you'll probably kill her.
Oh.
And so at first she's like, I want to get this thing out of my head. But then to get back at him legally, she's been told, well, maybe you should keep it in your head because then that's your evidence. But it's really good. And Kristen Milioti is great in this character. She's really funny. She's brash and tough. You got Dan Bacadol. I don't know if you ever saw him he's been in a lot of stuff, but he was on Veep and The Daily Show, and he's really funny. And Ray Romano is great. And Ray Romano, like when she comes home to see her dad again, she hasn't seen him in years, and she comes in and he's having sex with this doll. Well, it's not just a sex doll. He thinks of her as his wife.
Oh.
And so it's this weird thing. But yet Ray Romano, with his sort of droll delivery, just plays it straight. And I think it's pretty funny. It's kind of like a comedy Black Mirror episode.
Okay.
But the story is good and has managed to maintain its freshness over a series of episodes. I haven't seen all of them yet, so I'll tell you how it pans out in the end. But yeah, I would suggest that one. That one's a lot of fun.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, we could go on and on.
Yes, we could.
I mean,
we watch a lot of stuff.
Watching a lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, we do, and I like how we've touched upon stuff that's new and stuff that's old that we've looked at, or stuff that we've revisited. What do you guys say we do a lightning round?
Go for
I would love that.
Okay,
That would make me very happy.
Well, okay, just really quickly. I was on a Zoom call with my brothers and sisters, and my brother-in-law had never seen a particular series, and it got me all excited. And it just so happens that it had its 10-year anniversary. I'm talking about Game of Thrones, and just recently they did season 1.
Oh.
The whole thing of season 1. And my wife and I sat there and we watched episode after episode. And again, if you haven't seen it, if you missed the whole, hubbubaloo on Game of Thrones, this is a great time to kind of start.
I love this series, but I don't know if I'm ready to go back to it yet. I think it's going to be a while.
Maybe some people think it's full of magic and dragons and stuff. Look, that takes a while to get to. It deals with like medieval times, and what you learn is that it's tough, even if you're a peasant or if you're a knight or you're just like pawns in this game of like power, and it's just ruthless and brutal where life is cheap. And my wife and I were just captivated by the stories, and we just got into it. Like when we watched the very first episode, within the first 5 minutes we were hooked, and then we just stuck with it through the whole thing.
It's a great show.
I know people have
the final season though.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's the thing about. I remember why I watched it, because I watched it way later, and my wife had already seen the whole series, and except for last season, which hadn't aired yet. But I liked the way that it really was more just a grounded kind of, like you said, medieval kind of story that didn't have too much of the fantasy or supernatural elements. That they slowly,
It's slowly
they very
builds.
well. They planted this stuff, and then eventually, you're having dragon battles and all that. That's fine, but I do, I think mainly because the last season was so uneven. But I mean, eventually I probably will revisit it again. But there's just so much other stuff to watch first before.
It's so good in the beginning that I would still recommend the show.
It's just funny because you asked, what are we watching? This is something that we binged watched. It was on, and we just got stuck with it, and it was like, oh my gosh, remember how great this was. So it's a great series.
Very good.
Yeah.
Sean?
Well, there's a couple of older, pretty obscure movies I watched from some Blu-ray purchases. One is called, from 1971. This is a British film directed by an Australian filmmaker. It's called Legend of the Spider Forest. Also known as Venom. It's a really bizarre movie set in the Bavarian mountains. There's this photographer who's exploring the mountains, and he comes across this kind of siren type girl who's just like wandering around the forest, and somehow she's connected to this Nazi scientist who's living in this inn where there's experiments with spider venom, and it's really weird, very dreamlike and strange. The girl is played by this actress named Nita Arnerick. I think she's a Swedish actress. Really, really beautiful and very, very strange movie. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's this mystery. This photographer's trying to figure out what's going on with this woman. She's kind of seducing him and luring him along. And it's really weird, but really, really well shot, really well acted, and just very different. Another one this is a really obscure movie from 1974 called Knife for the Ladies. And this is,
I've never heard this.
This is a horror Western. Starring Jack Elam, who's great. Jack Elam is he's the washed up kind of alcoholic sheriff in this small Western town that's come on hard times because it used to be this thriving mining town, but the mines dried up and it's like nothing going on in this town anymore. Everybody disrespects him except for this one little young kid. It's kind of like has a nice kind of Shane kind of style relationship with the kid who still looks up to him, even though he's had better times. And Ruth Roman is in it. And there's basically this killer going around slashing up the wayward women and the prostitutes in the town. And the killings are pretty creepy, and it's not overly gory, but it's pretty effective. It's kind of like a slasher Western. And this guy, basically they hire this kind of spiffy, kind of more modernized detective from another town, private detective, to come and solve the crime. So it's like this very smart, kind of methodical, thinking, scientific detective butting heads with Jack Elam, and it's good. It's like, it's weird. It's kind of creepy. The killings are pretty effective. It's a leisurely paced movie, but it has a nice kind of genuine Western feel to it. And the ending is kind of crazy and twisted. It's pretty good. This movie has been available on like budget releases and stuff for like a long time. Under an incredibly truncated version. It was like a 55-minute cut of the movie, cut down, so which makes it incomprehensible. And finally, they released it on Blu-ray in a full 90-minute version. And it's just a cool little movie that like a pretty good hybrid of horror and Western.
What's it called again?
It's called Knife for the Ladies.
Ladies.
It's also been called Jack the Ripper Goes West. That's the other time.
Not quite as good.
Yeah. But Knife for the Ladies, pretty cool little movie. I would say check it out.
Very good.
Nice one,
Nice.
Sean.
James?
Well, my stepdaughter had never seen any Star Wars films, so we started binge watching those in the order that they were made.
Wait, she'd never seen any Star Wars?
She'd never seen any of them, so I was like, all right, let's just do a festival. Put on the original 1977 Star Wars, not A New Hope, just the original, and it's wonderful without any added effects. Right. Empire Strikes Back, also wonderful. The special edition, but the effects don't intrude that much on it.
There's a better job of that one. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
But then, any of you guys seen the special edition of Return of the Jedi?
Yes.
It's been a while,
Yes.
but yeah.
Yes, the end. Wait.
Is that the one with the ending where they
Yeah,
added all the
yes,
CDs and stuff?
Yes,
And
yes.
Yeah, that didn't.
You didn't
bother
like
me.
that?
That didn't bother me as much as what they do in Jabba's Palace in that musical number.
Oh
where they
my
have
God,
this-
I can't
horrible.
remember.
Oh, that's
what,
terrible.
what was it? I can't remember what they do.
They have
this
more
horrible
more dancers.
Yeah.
more
like a
dancers.
Vegas routine.
It's this whole musical number. That's
Right.
not.
Yeah.
I mean, that
It's worse.
That Lappy Neck song was pretty bad, but I definitely would have preferred it to what they did.
It must have been
I
so
agree.
bad. I must have just blanked it out of my mind because it was so terrible.
Yeah.
It didn't need that. I actually really liked what they did to the ending, which made it more like, oh, the whole galaxy is celebrating.
Mhm.
But you're right, James. That sequence is rough. That whole Jabba sequence. But did your stepdaughter like it?
Yeah. And then we went on to watch episode 1, and that was rough going for obvious reasons. Yeah.
It's funny because I've not revisited that. I haven't revisited any of the 1, 2, and 3 chapters. I just don't really have it. I mean, I kind of eventually I will. I'm just curious to see, but like
You will?
well, I mean, we have them.
Why?
Because we have to have
Sean,
because they're
it's
completists.
just
We have to have them.
bad.
But I mean,
Yes.
it's weird. I don't really have much desire to revisit those though.
Never.
After I mean the first 3 are just there's so much CGI, it's practically a cartoon. But
Yeah.
after all 9 movies are out, the one thing about rewatching episodes 1, 2, and 3 is you can just sort of trace what Palpatine is doing and how he's manipulating things. That's the only kind of interest in it. Otherwise,
he's good.
painful. They're painful.
Yeah,
The music, though, John Williams, you can't fault the music.
No, that's true.
True.
It's funny, James, with my daughter, I showed her when we got onto the whole Star Wars trip, we did episode 4, 5, and 6. Well, I didn't show her 1, 2, and 3. I told her, I said, there's really no point.
Yeah.
There's no point. And then,
This on your
she
time.
went and saw the Star Wars.
Right.
Yeah. We watched the Star Wars films when they came out, and she had, fun with them. She thought they were neat. She really liked the first 2. But yeah, I didn't even bother with Phantom Menace. There are times when I've caught it. It's been on, and I watch just like a couple minutes, and I can't stand
What
it.
that just reminds me real quick. The Disney Plus channel, which we have too, they recently acquired the 2 Ewoks TV movies.
No.
We literally, I remember seeing, I think the second one, the Battle for Endor, maybe when it was on TV. These were done in the 80s.
Yeah.
But we tried to watch both of them. We stopped after 10 minutes for both of them. We couldn't get through them. They're just, they're made for, I figured they were not going to be, they're whole fucking movies about the Ewoks, but I'm curious to see them now, we couldn't get through them. They're made for 5-year-olds. They're terrible.
I couldn't get through them when they were part of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
To have a whole movie that centers on them.
But they're really sappy and they're terrible. They're way worse than I thought they were.
It's funny. We're talking about there was a sequence in time when the whole Ewoks thing were being forced upon us.
Yeah.
Listeners some of you may not remember this, but there was a TV series about Ewoks. There were action figures of Ewoks.
There's a cartoon, right?
There was a cartoon. And
Cereals.
I remember seeing these at Toys R Us, and I remember thinking, who would buy this?
But for the right generation, it's
There was a series of cookingware called Ewoks. That's for you, James.
That's a good idea, actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, I know. If I ever see another Ewok again, it's going to be a bad day. All right. Well, I have been going to things recently that we have discussed on our shows, our more recent shows. Right. And I went back and started watching the Bond films, the early ones, the Sean Connery ones. And since Raymond Benson was talking about Dr. No and From Russia with Love, I kind of went right to From Russia with Love because I love Robert Shaw.
Yeah.
And one thing I forgot about that movie is how much sex is dripping from that film.
Is that the one where it has a little bit of nudity where the woman's against the glass? What is that one from?
Well,
Right?
And they're actually filming him having sex. Like that's a plot point.
Yeah, that is a plot point.
Right.
And I forgot all about that.
Was it Super 8? I think wasn't it Super 8? Wasn't 16 millimeter?
I got the Ken Films version of his sex tape. But I was amazed. And then there's like that whole scene with the gypsy camp.
Oh yeah, Martine Beswick. Yeah,
Martine Beswick, and and the two fighting gypsies that are fighting over a man, and then he pulls a favor and says, "Hey, stop fighting," and now they're both serving him.
Yeah,
and I was just like, wow. I mean, I did not remember how often women were throwing themselves at him in that movie.
The 60s too, the ultimate male fantasy film.
Yeah.
It's like,
But I loved it. I thought it was great. And Robert Shaw's wonderful.
He's
and I always enjoy some Rosa Klebb action. Yeah, terrific. I enjoyed that. And then August Rigoni said that Toei had this channel on YouTube. So I went to it. And I started watching like Inazuman, and they have the first 2 episodes of that, which I hadn't watched in a while, and they're subtitled, and it's great. And they're all kind of Kamen Rider. And in this one, there's a mutant who has these powers. He's fighting the Neo-Human Empire Phantom Army. Could you have a longer name? And it's great. And he has 2 forms in Azuman. So his final form is more of like your standard kind of Kamen Rider superhero look. But there's a middle form where he first becomes that guy. And this guy kind of looks like a Ben Grimm. And he's wearing a belt, but a really cool design. And and his name is Sanajaman. So even that form has a separate name, and I just love this stuff. And then there's another one called Henshin Ninja Arashi, and now this is literally Kamen Rider. I mean, it's all written by the same guy, Shitaro Ishinomori. And he's the guy who created Kamen Rider, and so this is his take of Kamen Rider in feudal Japan. Instead of them making him a cyborg, they do the feudal Japan version of making him a cyborg. And so now he transforms into this character, and the guy looks like, imagine like part flashy disco samurai with like a strange, almost like eagle bird head. And why not, right? Because we can.
Exactly.
And I'm really enjoying that show. And then the final thing I just want to bring up is because this does touch on our show's themes. And that is, there's a documentary about Heaven's Gate, the Heaven's Gate cult. And it's called Heaven's Gate, the Cult of Cults. And yes, it's on HBO Max. We're going crazy.
So this is not about... It's not about the Michael Cimino film. This is
the cult. Remember the suicide cult?
Yeah, I remember seeing videos of that leader kind of talking to his people. It was so chilling.
Yes. Marshall Applewhite.
Yeah, I agree, Sean. He's so convincing.
But creepy.
Very creepy.
When you're watching this documentary, and because when I watch anything about a cult, I always go through my head like, why? Why would these people follow this guy? He's clearly a weirdo, but there is an intensity to him.
Yeah.
And so, they managed to get these people. He had this thing going. One of the things I didn't realize is that he had this cult going like from the 70s. Like it had been around a long time.
I'm not sure he did.
The promise of this cult was that eventually through these certain disciplines, you could make yourself become an alien, and eventually the aliens were going to come and get you,
a spaceship and take you away. Yeah.
Right. And so he had a partner who was Bonnie Nettles, and so they went by T and Doe. She was T and he was Doe. And by the way, it's actually based on The Sound of Music, where they got these names.
Wow.
But I mean, it's a fascinating documentary.
I got to check that out.
That's messed up, man. I got to check that out.
And how long these people followed these guys right to the end, to the point where they even castrated themselves before they did this.
No.
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah. So,
really
strange.
The point of that. You know,
That's nuts, man.
You know what? If you're going to go out,
that you're right, Sean. It's nuts.
I didn't mean to be so clever.
it's sometimes the joke just happens.
Yeah.
It finds you. Yeah.
It sounds like something James would say.
Yeah, it's just too slow tonight.
James, you might actually like this show.
I will give it a try.
But it ends in castration and suicide, so that kind of that's a buzzkill for you, right?
Yeah.
Well,
But it doesn't happen every episode, right? So
in that case.
yeah.
Matt, is it a series then? It's a
series, yes.
Okay.
The number of episodes, I forget. I think it's 6 or something, 6 or 8 or something like that. I
I'd
forget.
be interested in watching.
And where can I see that, Matt?
This is HBO Max.
Everything is on HBO Max.
Yeah.
HBO Max.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
But anyway, so that is what we're watching.
Time for listener shout out.
Shout out. I love watching your shout outs. If that's possible.
Wow. This goes out to Eric Quakenbush from Hawaii.
Right. Quakenbush, my buddy. My buddy.
Yeah, you and Eric go back a long way, right?
We
Larry?
do. His dad was my doctor when I was a kid.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, the stories I could tell.
I don't want to hear them.
Eric is out of Hawaii. He's a software developer. He's worked in video game industry.
Oh, he's amazing.
And often comments on Twitter about our latest episodes. And he's also apparently a listener of the Ghostbusters Cross Rip podcast. And also want to give a shout out to those guys, Chris Stewart and Troy Benjamin, who just done their 300th episode.
Oh my God.
You're kidding.
Wait, well, you know what though? Now that there's a new Ghostbusters movie coming out, so they're going to have a lot of time.
Thank God.
A lot to talk about. Yeah.
There you go.
Eric is not only an amazingly skilled computer guy, but he's also an incredibly talented model builder. He's made all kinds of models, but he has a whole Ghostbusters outfit and gun and stuff. And he does a great cosplay with the whole Ghostbuster thing.
Nice.
So he posts those pictures. So Eric, thanks for listening, man.
Yeah, Eric.
Cool. Very cool.
Recently, I celebrated my birthday, as did Sean. Our birthdays are about a week apart.
That's right.
Yeah. Happy birthday, guys.
All right.
Thank you. And I was really pleasantly surprised to see that I got a little birthday greeting from Linda Miller from King Kong Escapes, because I guess I followed her after I met her at Monsterpalooza years ago. We all met her.
Yeah.
And I guess she got a Facebook alert that it was my birthday. She doesn't remember me. She doesn't know me. But
you don't know. Maybe she does.
Oh, yeah.
but on my birthday, I got this little happy birthday from Linda Miller. And I was 7 years old in a matinee of King Kong Escapes. And she was like, down Kong. And it's like, I got chills. It was like, oh my God, Linda Miller.
That's great. She was also in the Green Slime.
Yes.
Yes.
Part, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she's great. She's fantastic.
That's terrific.
Oh, yeah. I'm so jealous.
I wish I got a birthday message from Linda Miller.
Me too.
Wow.
Why doesn't she like us? What did we do?
Yeah.
Well, shout out to Linda Miller.
Yes.
Thank you, Linda. Let's also remind our listeners that Monster Party merch is still available on our eBay store, which is Monster Party Store. That's the name of it. Easy to remember. We still have T-shirts with the Monster Party Classic logo that glows in the dark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We still have the cloth PPE Monster Party mask.
They don't glow.
They do not glow.
No.
They do not glow.
But they help keep you safe.
They keep you safe.
And shipping is still free on these items.
Okay. Shut up.
Are you kidding?
Shut up.
I'm not kidding.
Serious?
I'm not kidding. And
who's responsible for this?
And if you happen to be a Patreon member, you will get extra goodies in your package.
Okay. What? What?
Yep.
Extra goodies.
Like what?
From what I understand, it's cool collectibles from Jason Lindsay and Biff Bang Pow Toys.
They are wonderful.
They got great licensed items.
Is that all we're giving away?
No, not at all. In fact, former guest on our show, Ted Haynes, our creature maker, foam fabricator.
Yes.
He has given us stuff from his company on Instagram at Foam Faber. He's given us some great prints and some stickers. And so I'm sure we're going to be throwing some things from Ted Haynes in there. So
yeah, beautiful stuff. He does amazing work.
He does.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what is this Patreon? How does that work?
Interesting you should bring that up because we've been getting a lot of letters, postcards, telegrams asking us the same question. Yes, flyers. Yeah. Yeah. I got a fax.
Skywriting.
Ooh.
Yes. A plastic tube was shot into my home.
Page? Did you get a page?
I got a page. Yes.
A beeper?
Several pages. I got beeped. I went out. I bought a beeper, and then suddenly I was beeped about Patreon. What are the odds?
It's crazy.
Patreon is this place where you go, where if you're a fan of Monster Party, you can access extra bonus footage. You can download books. You can get bonus audio. And it's all this extra stuff that Monster Party, us, will provide to you, the audience, for enjoyment. Now, you might ask yourself, how much does this cost? It was like $100, $1,000, because this stuff is priceless, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
No, $5 a month.
$5.
$5.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can't buy a Condor
nothing.
Man sticker for that price.
No, they're all sold out.
Yeah.
So you can buy the Condor sticker if you can find it.
Condor Man.
Right. Whatever he said. Demon booze.
Oh my God.
But it's $5. The point is it's $5, and it opens up this exciting world of Patreon goodies. And I think you're going to be pleased. If you join Patreon, it just might make your day.
I mean, have you ever wondered what kind of toys Larry might have? Well, if you join Patreon, you may be able to find out.
Into the weird world of Larry.
Yeah, he's got his own little sub show.
Larry's Toy Time.
Yeah.
It's a little show, Larry's Toy Time. And I show little bits of my collection.
It's very cool.
It's cool. It's a lot of fun. And
we make fun of Larry, but when he's showing his stuff, it's really great.
Yes, he's in his element.
Yeah. And so, I mean, for that alone, you should join.
That's right.
And hey, let's remind our listeners that you can find us on Facebook and on YouTube at Monster Party TV. Our Twitter handle at Monster Party HQ. Instagram is also Monster Party HQ. And hey, please take a moment and write write a review. Let us know your thoughts. We will read it on the air. We want to know.
Well, tell us if you heard an episode that you really liked, something from our library or something, let us know. I like this. This was great. More guests like this, or we need James to like more things. I don't know. Just let us know.
But if you have really serious problems with us, maybe that's something you should just beep us on our beep.
Just page Matt for that.
Yeah. Look, we're doing our best here.
Yeah, we're fighting the good fight here.
Yeah. We've been cooped up a long time, and we're really just trying to make the best of this thing.
That's right.
Yeah, really.
On that note, I am Matt Weinhold.
I'm Shawn Sheridan.
I'm Larry Stroth.
And I'm James Gonis.
Keep America strong.
Watch what we're watching.
But don't watch Larry.
Because I'm not wearing any pants.
Really?
Here, let me show you.
Is Shawn here too?
Not Not yet.
See, I don't get the four screen. I only see whoever's talking.
You only see me.
Right now, yeah.
That's for the best.
Do you get the four screen? Do you see everybody at once?
Oh, yeah, sure.
See.
Yeah.
If I was doing this from a laptop, I probably could, but it's my phone, so.
Well, the result works. Your audio sounds consistently good. Although at some point we might want to upgrade our mics so we all sound the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should get those headsets.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that's bad with the headsets is sometimes, Larry, when you go loud, it'll cut out because your mic's right there, you know?
Yeah.
See, that voice you're doing right now is very good. Yeah. Hey, everybody, it's 8:00 and it's Monster Party Radio on 97 FM. We got some scary hits coming at you. Blue Oyster Cult with Don't Fear the Reaper and Macho Man by the Village People.
It would have been fun to be a DJ, you know? Everybody have that fantasy?
Sure, to be like a Venus flytrap.
Yeah.
There's two kinds. Well, I mean, there's many kinds, but I mean, you could be the morning zoo type. Hey!
No.
No, it's too much energy.
I would have been the late night guy.
Yeah, sure. You're the Tom Snyder of FM talk.
Actually, I miss Tom Snyder.
Me too.
Like Tom Snyder.
I loved him.
It was a different time.
Yeah, I've got this great DVD that's called The Punk Years, and it's just Tom Snyder whenever he would interview anybody from punk, or The Tomorrow Show. There's one where he interviews Johnny Rotten, and this is when he's in Public Image Limited. And Johnny Rotten's just so mean to him, so nasty, and for apparently no reason. It just, I mean, you know what you're getting with Tom Snyder. One thing you can say about him, he's not like raging to pick a fight.
No.
And
no, he's pretty middle of the road.
Yeah, right. Trying to get what you're putting out. Yeah. And he was so mean. And there was a follow-up interview where Tom Snyder asked him, just like, this is years later. It's like, what happened? He's like, oh, he was doing his Johnny Rotten thing. He even said too, that at the end of the interview, the first one, he's like, we did a pre-interview, seemed to go very well. And I don't know what happened. You might enjoy that though, for the cringe effect.
Dan Aykroyd used to do it with Snyder.
Oh my God, the best.
Yeah.
I think I saw him being Snyder before I saw Snyder.
Yeah. I saw him the last time I remember seeing him. It had to have been in the early 90s after I moved to LA. And it was he was interviewing Gary Coleman, and they were talking about model train hobby.
Oh,
and
wow.
Snyder brought up the Allied Model Train store in Culver City on Sepulveda. And I just thought that was the coolest thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Is that place still there?
No, they had a fire.
Oh, no.
And now it's a Sammy's camera.
No. Like we did that.
Yeah.
So,
hey guys.
So it's
Hey, Sean.
it's a phone store. Because there aren't
basically
cameras anymore, are there?
Well,
I mean, people have
lighting equipment.
Professional.
Yeah.
So Larry is messing with his controls, so bear with him.
Okay.
And hey, while we're waiting, I'm on a low carb diet, and so let's just jump to the chase. I need to go to the bathroom one more time.
Go for it.
High fiber. Let's just say that. Be right with you.
Godspeed.
So how you doing, Larry? Is there a problem or what's the deal?
Is it with your computer?
Hello? Now he's
Because remember last time he had a
thing,
Kathy's computer.
Just
right?
go get Kathy's computer.
Yeah. I'm glad we're doing this though as a topic because I haven't had time to.
Me neither. Yeah.
But by the way, though,
You haven't had time to watch anything, have you?
not stuff for this. I mean, I'll be talking about stuff
we don't
I
need
have
to.
watched.
Yeah, it's just that's all it is. Yeah.
But shouldn't we be calling this what we're watching, right?
Call it
Is
whatever
it?
you want. What do you think's the best?
What
We're watching.
Yeah, do you think? I mean,
Yeah, sure. I love it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
great. You're a
Yeah.
fucking genius.
no, I think because you had what I've watched or what. I'm
Okay,
watching,
all
so-
right. Yeah. You know what? I made a
so-
mistake.
So
You
actually,
need an
what we're supposed to do is
apostrophe after the
we need to say what we think you're watching. That's
It should be what
Oh my
we're
God.
watching, what we are watching. That's the question. What we're watching.
I feel like
Well,
we're more of a
what we're
word.
watching! Exclamation point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
well.
That's good.
How about we just call it watching?
How about just what? What?
No,
Yeah. Okay.
but
How
I
about
do
looky, cookie?
But actually, it's funny that we're always thinking,
What?
let's do a thing on Blu-ray reviews. Let's do but when it comes down to just what we're watching, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's really,
yeah.
and it's one that we can do again and again. you
Yes.
know? So, and we can do it with a guest if we want, but it's that kind of all-purpose, simple, super simple, but
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
yeah. I mean, it's just that simple. It's just like, hey,
Yeah.
and it's easy because it's surprising that we haven't done this before because
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that we don't talk about that are
Well, also, it just hit me. I don't know why I never did before, but the fact that you can do something called What We're Watching, and you don't have to do all new stuff that's out. You can
anything.
do- Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's good. And because I have a balance, so
Of course, yeah, just like me.
yeah, because there've been a few of the big new movies that we've watched, but
There's some shows I've been enjoying.
yeah, we can do that shows too. Yeah.
And then there are some shows that are interesting. They might not be my favorite show of all time, but they have merits.
right,
So-
right,
Mhm.
right.
And we've all seen Godzilla vs. Kong, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We should probably start
God
with that.
help me.
We should start. With that.
Whoa, wait a
Yeah.
minute here.
Godzilla
Well-
help me.
I do have an announcement though.
Oh no.
Okay.
You want to save it for the show?
No, are you recording?
Well, I'm recording, yeah. So just say it then.
Well, okay. This is the very first time ever doing Monster Party that I am not wearing pants.
Whoa.
Okay. Good to know.
Wow.
I am not wearing pants. At
I
this
did
very
not see
moment.
that coming.
And
I have to say.
and the funny thing is, you're probably going, so Larry, why did you choose not to wear pants?
No, I wasn't
I'm
going to
sure
ask
you're
that
asking.
question. No,
You
not at
were-
all.
yes,
I was just going to
no,
let you be
I'm
you.
I'm sure because today this is so stupid. I had to get up really early, like at 5 a.m.
Why do you have to get up 5
I
in
had
the
to
morning?
get up.
Because that's when the
Because
pants guy comes. And he missed him.
I had this little film shoot,
okay.
a little film shoot that I was helping out on all the way down in Redondo Beach. So I'm thinking, it's going to take me forever. Well, actually, traffic was
Mhm.
great, but long and short of it is, you're slathering sunscreen and stuff. When I got home, I just felt gross, disgusting, had to take a shower. I came this close to not even bothering to put on a shirt.
Wow.
Seriously. And then I looked at myself and I go, wow, I'm just too white and pasty. So I put the shirt on. I have my robe here, but the pants, I said, I don't
Okay,
need to
just do us
bother
a
with
favor and
pants.
don't tilt the camera down. That's all I ask.
Yeah. Don't Jeffrey Tube in this. Because I don't think I could ever remove that from my mind.
Oh no.
That would launch a series of night terrors that probably wouldn't
my
end.
hands are always
No, you can
visible.
jerk off. That's
No?
fine. I just don't want to see it.
No. We
Again,
don't
if you do that,
Let's
watch the
not
screen.
see-
Yeah. Tilt down.
Oh.
Yeah, I just don't understand that. Who could do? Why would you do that?
You know what?
I don't get that.
Yeah, it's funny, but you don't realize. First of all, I'm obviously COVID opened up some areas in people's lives,
Yes.
and it's their thrill. I would think, right? That's the thing. I'm getting away with something, and it just makes it all so hot.
Evidently.
Not me, guys. Dead
but
from the waist down.
But we've all had that first shot. We've all on our way.
Oh, the vaccine. Oh, whew.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. The first
I know. Class it up.
First injection.
Yes, we have, and ours is coming in
road.
we're on our way back. We might be able to actually meet at some.
Yeah, we're getting our second vaccine in a couple of weeks. So
wow,
we're all on schedule. That's good. Is that all we're giving away? I don't know what I'm doing now. Woo-hoo!
This is Carmichael.
On that note,
I'm not wearing any pants. I'm still not wearing pants.
Okay.
Wow.
I believe
you. Want to see?
So
if you show us, it is going on Patreon.
Wow, that's a commitment.
And then we'll have to kick it up to $10.
Right.